Okay, we're going to start the meeting at 6:01. Roll call, Mr. Baker.
Ms. Orich?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Mr. Wetback.
So I would request a motion that the board go into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G3, to discuss pending or imminent litigation, in accordance with 121.22G4, to discuss collective bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation, and with respect to 121.22G8, to consider confidential information related to specific business strategy and to discuss negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance.
I motion that we go into executive session for the reasons detailed by Administrator Weckbach.
I'll second that.
No discussion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay. We'll adjourn the meeting at 6:02 to go into executive session.
And we should be back right around 7.
Mr. Baker, you want to do a roll call?
Ms. Orich?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Do we have anything to report back from executive meeting?
Nothing to report.
Okay. So, first, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for our moment of meditation, I would like everybody to say a prayer for the victims that have been hurt and from a violent crime to all the hatefulness and bullyingness. This is the time of Lent. Let's pray for the healing of the hurt to begin. And Dan has another moment of meditation
And
also.
if we would all have a moment of silence for Mr. Brian Wilkerson, who passed away out on 275 late last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have some approval of minutes.
Thank you, Board. First, I would like a motion for approval of the minutes of the special meeting that was held on February 14th, 2023.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the special meeting that was held on February 14th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
None?
None for me.
None for me?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Secondly, I have minutes from the same night for the regular meeting on February 14th, 2023.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting on February 14th, 2023.
A second.
No discussion.
No discussion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have a presentation.
Yes, so the first presentation this evening is by Michelle Baltz from the Hamilton County Resource, which was formerly known as the Solid Waste District.
Did you think you'd have this large of a crowd?
It's quite the crowd to talk
Yes.
about recycling. No, I appreciate it. No, I will make this as brief as possible. So, Michelle Baltz, Hamilton County Resource. I am here today to talk to you about our solid waste plan, which will be coming forward to all of the communities in Hamilton County for a vote sometime in the next few months. And so I wanted to give you a heads up that that will be coming. Our office, our mission is to reduce how much waste goes to the landfill. Mr. Wallert is on our policy committee, so he could probably fill you in on more of it. Just to give you an idea of some of the programs we have a large grant program called the Residential Recycling Incentive, which Colerain participates in. You receive about $53,000 a year through that grant to use for waste reduction expenses. We fund a sheriff deputy for environmental enforcement, who will go out and investigate illegal dumping. We have drop-off programs for yard trimmings, household hazardous waste, and we have outreach campaigns to encourage people to recycle right and reduce how much waste is going to the landfill. So our solid waste management plan has been a work in progress since May of 2021. What this plan does is make sure that we have enough capacity for the waste that we are generating in Hamilton County. As far as landfill space, we also try to, like I said, our mission is to reduce how much waste goes to the landfill. So we try to show how we're going to meet and exceed state mandated goals. So we basically show what programs we're going to try to do to reduce that waste that's going to the landfill. So that's what the plan is really about. When I said it's going out for ratification, our policy committee will decide whether it will go out starting in March or in May for when they meet next. And we have to go out to the communities and ask for you to ratify it. So approve or disapprove the plan. According to Ohio Revised Code, we have to get 60% of the population, so communities representing 60% of the population, to get the plan approved. Last time we got 100% approval, so thank you for voting for it last time. A few things about the plan, and then I'll step off. We have the large grant program. We're maintaining that. We're going to change it a little bit, though, and allow communities to count business recycling. So it won't always be residential. You can also count recycling and waste reduction efforts from your businesses. We are increasing our business assistance budget by about $75,000 because businesses, commercial and industrial sector, make about 86% of the waste generated. So we really want to target that sector. And we also hired a diversity, equity, inclusion consultant to help us with our plan and make sure that we're reaching all of the audiences in Hamilton County. So that was the fastest I've ever done that presentation. Do you have any questions?
I love how fast you talk.
Michelle, I have spoken to you before, but it's just been on the phone, and this is the first time we have met. Your meetings are recorded and televised, and I believe I asked you that, and you sent me the link. So how would these folks get to watch your solid waste district meetings?
Well, we have them available on Zoom. Of course, you can come in person. They start at 3 o'clock. Tomorrow is the next one at 3 o'clock at our office at 250 William Howard Taft. But we also have a link on our website that you can join via Zoom and watch there as well.
Okay, because I did watch one of the recent ones. It's kind of a topic of interest, so thank you.
We also have them afterward recorded on our YouTube channel.
Right.
Okay.
So that would be where I watched it. That was on the YouTube channel.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And during the meeting, folks can zoom in and ask questions. The board consists of a representative from the townships, which is myself, a representative from cities and villages, which is Ms. Magnus from the city of Cincinnati, representative from Hamilton County, which is Commissioner Driehaus, and Hamilton County Health Commissioner, which is Mr. Kesterman, and there are several at-large positions as well. I've learned so much being on there. I just met, and I'll talk about that, I guess, later in my trustee report. I just met with Ms. Magnus for like an hour and a half about hazardous material and things like that. And the whole point of this is waste diversion. Is to reduce the amount of waste that goes in the landfill, and there's no community that benefits more from that than the community of Colerain Township. It's kind of a percentage voting. The last time I checked, I think we're 9%. So to get to that 60%, Colerain Township's 9. I think maybe Green's 9. City of Cincinnati's 38. That's kind of how it weighs down. But you need to get to the 60% threshold. And there's been a lot of work and a lot of months that have gone into this plan.
And Matt keeps us updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much.
And I will see you at 3 o'clock tomorrow for the meeting. Thank you.
All right, next up on the agenda, we have several swearing-ins. The first are by Chief Walls for newly promoted employees in the fire department.
Good evening, Board,
Good evening.
those virtual residents, families, and friends. Tonight is a night for me that I could never get tired of, quite frankly, because we're going to see the best and the brightest move into various capacities who I know throughout the history of this organization moving forward are going to continue that tradition of excellence. And so, quite frankly, it's heartwarming to see everyone that's here this evening. So for the sake of brevity, I've got 7, but I'm going to break it up into 2 groups. So right now, I would like Battalion Chief Eric Dower, Captain Ryan Frank, Captain Scott Becker, and Lieutenant Alex Seymour to come forward, please. So Battalion Chief Eric Dower, he's been with us since 2008. He has an associate's degree in fire service technology from Cincinnati State. He's a graduate of OFE Class 20, which is one of the premier executive development programs. He's been a firefighter, paramedic, a fire lieutenant, and EMS captain, and tonight he'll be penned by his son Charlie, who will be accompanied by his son Joey and daughter Molly here shortly. Next is Captain Ryan Frank. He's been with us since 2007. He has an associate's degree in fire service technology from Cincinnati State. He was a graduate of OFE Class 19. He served as a firefighter, paramedic, a fire lieutenant, and he'll be penned by his daughter Kendall and also be accompanied by his daughter Alyssa. Next, we have Captain Scott Becker. He's been with us since 2002. He has a bachelor's degree in fire science technology from the University of Cincinnati. He served as a firefighter, paramedic, a fire lieutenant. He's also a rescue squad officer for Hamilton County USAR. And tonight he'll be penned by his grandfather, Bud Becker, who was lieutenant with the Groesbeck Fire Department. And then lastly for this group, we have Lieutenant Alex Seymour. He's been with us since 2010. He was an electrician and a tower climber for about 10 years, if you can imagine that. And he served as a firefighter, paramedic, and he'll be penned tonight by his daughter Adeline and be accompanied by his son Rhett. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to these four to recognize their families real quick.
My wife Shannon and my kids Charlie, Joey, and Molly are here. My mom and dad are here. My brother, his fiance, my sister and her husband and their families, my sister-in-law and her family, and my mother-in-law are all here.
Thank you. Ryan?
All right, my parents here, mother Jackie, mother-in-law Teresa's here, my sister Tammy, brother-in-law Paul, my nephews Noah and Kellen, and Sarah's at home with our 2-week-old baby and our 2-year-old daughter. So we have our 5 other children here.
Oh, wow.
Brandon, Kendall, Alyssa, Trey, and Todd.
Thank you. Scott?
So I've got my grandfather, obviously Bud, my wife, my 3 children, my mom and dad, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, a very close personal friend, my sister-in-law, my other sister-in-law, and their kids, and then I think that's it.
Alex?
I have my wife of 10 years, Lindsay, my 5-year-old son, and my 9-year-old daughter, Adeline.
Okay, thank you. At this time, it's time for the oath of office, and those that are going to pin, please come forward.
Hi, guys.
Anybody wants to take pictures, that spot's probably right back here. Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear
Solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
I'll abide by the Colerain Fire EMS mission statement,
Abide by the Colerain Fire Menace mission statement.
values, code of ethics, standard operating guidelines,
Standard operating guidelines,
and the township's policies and procedures.
and the township's policies and procedures.
And I'll faithfully discharge the duties of
Discharge the duties of Lieutenant
in and for Colerain Township,
in and for Colerain Township,
Hamilton County,
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
congratulations. And it always makes me so happy and fills my heart with joy to see all these beautiful young families, even hearing the crying babies. So thank you all for coming out.
Congratulations to you all, and if I could just add one thing that we probably don't say enough. Thank you to the families who give up an awful lot for their spouses, dads, moms to be up here. We appreciate it. As long as I'm up here, we are going to take care of you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you for the sacrifice.
Absolutely. $82,000, wow.
All right, next I would like EMS Coordinator Jennifer Plager, Firefighter Paramedic Ed Shannon, and Firefighter EMT Nolan Thorner to come forward, please. So Jennifer's been with us since 2004. She served as a paramedic. In 2014, she was made the administrative training assistant full-time. She's just a few credits short of a bachelor's degree at the University of Cincinnati. And I see a lot of CFA out there, alumni. Those that don't know, Jennifer has been the coordinator of the Citizens Fire Academy for how long? 8 years. 8 years. And tonight she's going to be pinned by her son, Travis. Next, we have firefighter paramedic Ed Shannon. He's been with us since 2012. He served as a firefighter paramedic. He has a bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati. He was a 2020 EMS Provider of the Year. These are his words, not mine. He took a short hiatus to another department, but he came back to the promised land. And he's going to be pinned by his girlfriend, JoJo. And then we have firefighter EMT Nolan Thorner. He's been with us since 2020. He served as a firefighter EMT. He's a graduate of Elder High School.
Hey, yeah.
Did he teach you?
No, I've only been there for 5 years.
He's going to be pinned by his mother, Vicky. So at this time, those that are going to pin, please come forward. And once again, anybody who wants to take pictures, that's fine. I'll be over here. All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nolan Thorner,
Do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Ohio. I'll abide by the Colerain Fire and EMS mission statement,
abide by the Colerain Fire and EMS mission
values,
values,
code of ethics, standard operating guidelines,
standard operating guidelines,
and the township's policies and procedures.
township's policies and procedures,
And I'll faithfully discharge the duties of
firefighter paramedic
in and for Colerain Township, Hamilton County, State of Ohio, to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations to you, and the same goes for your families. And Nolan, I guess it is, Altiora. Is Nolan our elder graduate? Yep.
For those
What do you
that-
want me to put a word in for tomorrow with, or your favorite elder teacher?
There was none?
Congratulations to everyone.
Thank
And
you so
thank
much
you
for your service.
for everything you do.
Thank you. And for those that didn't notice, I gave the firefighters a little bit more to bite off with their tongue than I did the officers, and that was on purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Walls. The next few items are going to be swearing-ins in the police department, presented by Chief Ed Cordy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's like it's still standing room only, even in the doors there. In typical fashion with the fire department and police department, Alan always has to do one more. So we have 6 in front of you tonight that I'll be swearing in. So let's first start with we'll do our lieutenants and our sergeants at the same time. So Jamie, John, Zach, Bill, come on up here, guys.
All the men in blue.
Staying here on display, boys. All right, we'll start with now Sergeant, going to be Lieutenant Jamie Penley. Jamie Penley graduated from Oak Hills High School. He graduated from University of Cincinnati in 2005 with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He started with the police department in 2001. We know him fairly well as the person that's been instrumental in the development and the continual success of the code enforcement team. For years, Jamie has functioned as one of the community resource officers. He's organized such events as Shop with a Cop and all donation drives that have come from the police department, and he's now the coordinator of the Citizens Police Academy. Lieutenant John Mittendorf graduated from LaSalle High School, Eagle Scout in 2007. He graduated from the University of Cincinnati in 2011 as a dual major with 2 bachelor degrees, one in criminal justice, one in organizational leadership. John actually has gone through almost every role possible from the start. When he began with the police department, he was a part-time clerk in 2012. He made his way to full-time clerk, reserve police officer, and then finally a police officer in 2014. And then he continued from there. John started the department's Explorers Cadet Program and has been an active part of it since its inception, and currently is acting as the program coordinator. Zach Meyer graduated from Colerain High School and attended the University of Cincinnati. Prior to joining us here in Colerain, he worked in corrections at Hamilton County Sheriff's Office from 2012 to 16, and he joined our department in 2016. Bill Hain graduated from Whetstone High School. I had to look that up. It's in Columbus. Graduated from Ashford University in 2013, again as a dual major and 2 bachelor's degrees, one being in Homeland Security and Emergency Maintenance, and the second in Political Science and Government. Prior to joining us at Colerain, he worked in corrections at Hamilton County Sheriff's Office from 2014 to 2019 and joined our department in 2019. Guys, if you'd like to introduce your family and have those that are pinning you, come on up, please.
All right, I've got my wife Kelly. Look them up. My kids were looking lacrosse and my wife Kristen, my kids Gabby, Anna, Ty, and Nate. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my sister. We're all here to and my brother-in-law.
I was going to say, does anybody know?
Some handsome devil, right?
Do you-
My wife Mallory, my daughter Italy, my son Mason there, mom and dad, my grandmother, my sister, and
Excellent.
My wife Jess, my daughter Zoe, my parents, mother-in-law, friends and family, and neighbors.
Good friends, right? All right, let's stay in the same direction as we just were with the fire department was. So if we hit face me, over there face me. No good way to do this, I know. Right in. I state state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will uphold the Constitution. Of the United States of America. And the Constitution of the State of Ohio. And its bylaws. I will abide by. The Colerain Police Department. Mission and value statement. Code of ethics. Rules and regulations. Police Department policy and procedure. And I will faithfully discharge the duties. State your rank.
Lieutenant
In and for
in and for
Colerain Township.
Colerain Township,
Hamilton County.
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio. To the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and thank you for the fine work that you guys do. Thank you so much.
And thank
Thank you
you
to all of
very
you.
much, and thank you for all your support systems.
Anthony Logan.
No, I think he's good. Ed's got quite a few. Huh? I know, yeah, absolutely. Here.
This one will go a little bit quicker.
Yeah, okay.
Before I have you, two brand new officers that we just hired, and we were able to recruit from different departments, and it's pretty exciting because this is some of our first folks we were able to bring in. So before I have you, Anthony Mountjoy graduated from Bellbrook High School, and he comes to us with over 7 years of law enforcement experience, most recently with Sugar Creek Township Police Department. Next to him, I have Logan Kesterman, graduated from East Central High School, and prior to coming to us, he's worked at numerous departments such as UC Health, Mount St. Joe, and Hamilton County Corrections. Guys, you want to introduce who's pinning you and your family?
It's just my wife and my best friend Adam there. I brought my grandpa, my grandma, my mom, my soon-to-be mother-in-law, my fiance, my father, my brother, and my
Oh, wonderful.
All right, same position over here for me, please. You don't have to run all the way.
You can come over here.
Right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America.
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio
And its bylaws.
and its bylaws.
I will abide by
I will abide by
the Colerain Police Department
the Colerain Police Department
mission and value statement,
mission and value statement,
code of ethics,
code of ethics,
rules and regulations, Police Department policy and procedure.
police department policy and procedure.
I will faithfully discharge
I'll faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
in and for Colerain Township,
in and for Colerain Township,
Hamilton County,
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
to the best of my ability. So help me God.
so help me God.
Good job, guys.
In this day and age and what's going on in our environment, thank you for getting good two hires here, and thanks for coming to Colerain Township.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
And do you have something to say?
No, I think that's it. I think there's quite a few people that are.
We
gonna-
actually have one.
Yeah, Chief Wallace would like to come up to the podium. He wants to outdo you.
I've got
No, I'm just saying.
I've got 10 more. No. I actually made a faux pas earlier, and I want to correct that mistake. I'd like Jennifer and Eddie and Nolan to come back up for just a moment.
Uh-oh.
Anybody see Ed?
No do-overs, that's just for the Bengals.
Actually, it's just for the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chief. Sorry. Mrs. Smokes back on that one. Against the
For the
Bengals.
sake of brevity, I got ahead of myself earlier. and didn't have them introduce their families. I want to take the time to do that and correct that mistake.
Okay.
So, Jennifer?
My son is here with me tonight, the one that pinned me, which I'm honored to receive from. His name's Travis. I have my father here. I have my nephew and my brother. And I also have a whole group of my second family over here.
Aw.
You know, some of them I've known for over 18 years.
Uh-huh.
This is close to me tonight.
Ed?
My girlfriend JoJo, we have 5 kids combined, so they're all out there now.
Nolan?
My mother Tracy, my grandma Mimi, and my sister Anna, my mom Vicky, and my brother Will, and my aunt Nancy, and my little cousin Penelope here.
Aw.
Thank you. I wanted to correct that oversight on my part and make it right.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we'll probably take a couple minutes because all these people don't want to be here any longer. I gotta see.
What?
That's the house. That was Eric Dower's mom and dad. Eric grew up, it was my son's best friend, still is, they're all hang together, so it's cute to be proud. Okay, okay. Hi, Mr. Cordy. No more? Okay. Okay, okay.
Ready, boss?
You want to start the public hearings?
Yes, so board, first up tonight is a public hearing for Zoning Commission case ZA 2023-01. This is a major amendment to ZA 2005-03, and this is at 3711 Stone Creek Boulevard. From our staff, we'll have David Miller here to kind of introduce the item, and then I would recommend that you all enter into a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll motion to open the public hearing for zoning commission case ZA 202301, major amendments to ZA 2005, 003, 3711 Stone Creek Boulevard, parcel 510-0111-031600 to permit the use of automotive service in PDB plan development.
All right, so.
We need a second.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Oh, a roll call, please.
Ms. Orich?
Yes, here.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Before we even start the presentation, why don't I go ahead and swear everybody
Yep,
in?
good idea. Thank
If
you.
if you plan on testifying at the hearing, please stand up, raise your right hand.
This,
No, just
For Stone Creek.
for Stone Creek, that's correct. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Hey, David, will you raise your right hand too? You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. All right. Mr. Waller's teed that up. So first item is a major amendment in Stone Creek to permit the construction of a Zips car wash. It's on outlot out in front of Meyer. The Zoning Commission heard the case on January the 17th of this year. They voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the amendment. And tonight we have Rado Nedkov and Greg McGahee, who are representing the property owner, that would be Zips, and who would be building this out. And they are here to represent the case. And so I was going to invite them up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Greg McGahee, UCR Development, 8080 Park Lane, Dallas, Texas. And we are the preferred developer for Zips for this state and several others. And we've read through staff's comments and don't have any real comments. We're in agreement. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Any comment, Matt?
No.
Dan?
None.
No, thank you.
All right, and I don't believe that we saw anybody else that wanted to speak on this public hearing, so unless I missed someone, I would recommend a motion to close the public hearing.
I motion we close the public hearing on the case for the Stone Creek development.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right, next item is for a text amendment to the Colerain Township zoning resolution. There are 3 items in this public hearing. They relate to fireworks, medical marijuana, and microbreweries and microdistilleries.
I'll motion to open up a public hearing for text amendments regarding fireworks, medical marijuana, and microbreweries, microdistilleries.
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
If you plan to testify in this public hearing, please stand up and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. All right, first item, we'll take them one at a time. As background, beginning July the 1st of last year, 2022, the Ohio General Assembly changed the Ohio Revised Code to legally allow the discharge of 1.4G consumer fireworks in Ohio on specific days and times. And so subsequent to this change in state law, Colerain Township was approached by a business to offer retail sales of fireworks. And so during this process, in a search of our zoning resolution, it revealed that since fireworks had formerly been illegal to discharge, there was almost no mention of the word except for their prohibition at vendor markets. Currently, our business use table has no zoning recognition for permitted uses for fireworks, and the text amendment before you today will align our definitions of fireworks sales and fireworks manufacturing with those that are in the Ohio Revised Code. The text amendment will also add fireworks retail sales and fireworks manufacturing to the business use table to allow these activities in the I-1 district as a conditional use. So that's the first item. I have no further comments. Other than staff is recommending that the approval of that change.
Okay, so the first item is for fireworks, so I would suggest that if there are folks that were specifically wanting to speak about the fireworks portion of the text amendment, that this would be the appropriate time to come up to the podium.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. My name is Stephen Funk. I'm an attorney at Retzel and Andrus. I practice the area of land use and zoning law, and I'm here on behalf of Phantom Fireworks Showcase LLC, which is an applicant for a zoning certificate at the property at 8300 Colerain Avenue. Also here today is the property owner, and I think he's going to speak after I do. It's my understanding that it was my client's application for a zoning certificate at the 8300 Colerain Avenue that sort of led to the township beginning this zoning amendment process. And I think there may be some misconceptions about what the actual use that we're proposing for that location is. And so I wanted to come here and take the opportunity to be, I'm actually going to be here anyway, because I have an argument in court tomorrow morning. So I thought I would take the opportunity to just come and give you a little bit of information about our use, and that hopefully will inform your decision making. I want to start by saying that we don't believe that this zoning amendment would apply to our proposed use. So we applied for the zoning certificate before today's meeting, and any amendment would not be able to be applied retroactively to our pending zoning certificate application. And so I'm not really here about that per se. I'm really wanting to just give you factual information about fireworks sales and the different types of stores and what specifically Phantom Fireworks is proposing, because I think it'll be helpful to you in your deciding what to do. So first off, let me just start by, I have some photographs I think that'll be helpful to visually see what we're talking about. And I have 7 copies, so I've got, I figured I estimated approximately.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need 1.
Yeah.
So 6 copies, 7 total. And I'll just wait till that gets handed out before I.
You don't get one? Okay.
So, and I'm going to try to keep this brief, but the first misconception I think that there might be is that before the retail stores really began in the state of Ohio, if you wanted to buy fireworks, you had to go out to Indiana, and there's this old farmhouse, like warehouse kind of place where you drive up. It's sort of this dilapidated place, and you buy fireworks. That's not what we're proposing here. This is not a warehouse. This is not, they don't manufacture fireworks. This is a commercial retail store in which they sell consumer grade fireworks. These are not the fireworks we're talking about where the display fireworks you see at the 4th of July. Those are professional grade fireworks, and that's not what we're selling here. And if you look at this, these are examples of stores that Phantom Fireworks has. The first one kind of shows you that these are designed in large part to match the townships, these are always in commercial areas, first of all, because they're retail stores that sell to the general public. So they generally comply with the zoning code with regards to like landscaping and all the things that you would require, parking, all those kinds of things. So these designs are not uniform, and we don't insist upon any uniform design. It largely depends on the building that's being occupied, and in this case, it's a pre-existing building where we're just simply changing the use and then renovating the inside of the building and doing exterior improvements. The big thing I want to show you, though, if you look into the 3rd and 4th page, this is showing the interior of our stores. I mean, it's essentially like any other retail store that you would imagine, with aisles and checkout counters that shows the cash register area. There's a place in which, when the customer originally comes in, there's a registration area. So it operates just like any other commercial retail store Dollar General, much smaller than Target, but you get the picture. And so that's the main thing I want to emphasize, that this is a store. It's a retail store that sells consumer goods to the general public. The second misconception I wanted to clarify is something I just mentioned about there's a difference between consumer grade fireworks and professional grade display fireworks. We're talking about consumer grade, so we're talking about sparklers, novelty kinds of firework items that have been licensed to be sold to the general public. We do have to get a license from the state of Ohio, so that's regulated by the state fire marshal. There's a separate license for every single store. So before any sales can occur, state fire marshal has to approve the plans for the store, has to approve all of the sprinkler systems, all the early fire suppression systems and things like that to make sure that it operates safely. And it's not, again, it's not professional grade fireworks. Those, you have to get a separate license for that, and those are sold in totally different settings, in totally different manner, and we're not involved in that at all. So that's the second thing I wanted to clarify. And so when you talk about fireworks store, there is a difference depending on what type of fireworks store we're talking. The third misconception is, I think there might be a misconception that these somehow impose a safety hazard, and it's really further from the truth. These are generally located in commercial areas because they are commercial stores, but again, they are highly regulated by the state fire marshal. Part of the reason why they've done the consumer grade is because they don't present a fire hazard. Notwithstanding that, as I said, Fan of Fireworks goes through a very rigorous process to get their license, and they've never had a problem getting a license from the state fire marshal. That's because Fan of Fireworks actually, their fire suppression system actually exceeds the minimum standards that have been established by the state of Ohio. And so in reality, they're actually safer than normal commercial stores that maybe don't have those kind of fire safety equipment. So if there's a safety concern that's motivating this, I don't think that's a legitimate concern. And the people that are involved with Fan of Fireworks have their own fire safety experts who they use in developing their systems and making sure that they not only meet the state requirements but exceed them. And then the last thing I just want to emphasize is that this is regulated by state law. So it is, as I think was pointed out, it's legal, lawful use. There are different types of licenses depending on what type of store you're proposing, but this is not something that's going to be an unregulated item. This is a very respectable use that is going to be regulated by the state and will be done in a manner that complies with your zoning code. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions you have about it, and I'll let the property owner speak to it next.
So when you said there's a registration desk, are any, did you say something about a registration in the front?
Yeah, there's a picture in there of the registration desk.
Okay.
Yeah, when a customer first enters the store, they register at the front desk.
You're going to need to come up so that we can be heard.
So this is a manager of one of our stores.
Okay, I just want, so the registration is an ID,
Yes.
and they have to be over 18, correct?
Yes, they show their driver's license,
Thank
they
you.
scan the back and actually enters in the field, so we actually print out a form with the registration information, and they sign the form stating that they are not going to misuse their fireworks for any intention.
Okay.
knowingly.
Now, children are not allowed in the store?
No, with their parents.
With a
they
parent,
are,
okay,
but,
they are.
You know, nobody 17 or anything can come in and just look around. They have to be with an adult who's going to be the purchasing responsible party.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And your fire safety system, we were told it was a deluge system, is that?
Right, the sprinklers are system, it just will downfall. If anything sets off, the sprinklers go off and like douse everything.
Okay, so what is the highest explosive material that you sell?
1.4.
Okay, is that like a M80? Or?
M80s are illegal and have been since
I
the
know,
70s.
I'm just trying to think of
Yeah.
like an M80
But,
under.
it would be like a small aerial repeater where you could light one fuse and you'll have a small show in the box that you could have in your backyard.
Okay.
Yep.
Could you state your name for Mr. Baker, please?
Nancy Kennedy.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I was going to have her do that before she talked. But
Oh, I'm sorry, but thank
this
you.
is why I brought her. She
Okay,
knows
well,
all the
I see your phantom signs going down, Tennessee, Kentucky, going down that way, and there's some big displays, so.
Yeah, so in some respects, this is the development of new commercial stores in Ohio is actually a relatively recent phenomenon. One of the stores I showed you is in the Montrose area of Northeast Ohio. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's very similar to this area. It's a very highly commercial area with stores of every kind, and that's specifically the kinds of areas that they're looking to locate in because, they're selling to the general public.
While you were up there, sorry. What would you say the percentage of the inventory that you're looking to put into this facility that you can buy at a Walmart or Target? Because I know they sell it.
A pretty small, they're similar items, but, basically they're very much the same, but just different.
Okay,
Large,
okay.
So more selection and stuff like that.
So it's a year-round versus like a Walmart or Target being a 4th of July?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. For all
Okay.
holidays, gender reveal is like the big thing, memorial lanterns, things like that get people coming in all year round.
Okay. Okay, so not just high-volume fireworks. Okay. Matt?
No.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity
Thanks
to
for
speak,
coming in.
and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
So were there others that were looking to speak? Yep, thank you.
Hello and thank you. I'm Mike Hardert. I've been in Colerain Township I'm third generation out of 5 here in Colerain Township. We've owned property at Colerain and Galbraith and just above for 50 years. I just wanted to touch base with you and make you try to get you to understand. I've been 3 years trying to get a good, solid anchor store for Lower Groesbeck. Pep Boys had bailed 3 years ago. They still paid their rent as a closed store all the way up till this November. But that kind of made an eyesore in the area. It's not, it wasn't being used and was causing problems. So thank goodness I have actually signed a lease with Phantom. The yearly tax bill is $48,000. It takes a big company to eat that bill. We can't have, the building's not designed for multiple little stores, and we need a good contender. And actually, they have stepped up, and they want to put a nice place in. We've got quite a few zoning violations because the blacktop is in poor shape. The building needs to be resealed. We have Dave Zillick from Zillick Paving is contracted to put us a new driveway in. I've already got $7,000 worth of paint from Sherman-Williams right down the street, sitting in the building waiting for Steve Abbott Construction to go ahead and seal the building and get us back in shape again. And Phantom wants to really put sliding door, automatic doors in the front of it and update the building and really dress it up for a good retail store for this area. Demographically, it's perfect with cross county coming east and west, Colerain north and south. We have Clara Avenue as a back entrance to the place. It goes down to Galbraith Road, east and west. So people coming in for just fireworks can slip in and out without causing much, traffic problems. But they also can come into town, and these are people that were passing our town up and going to Indiana or going to Kentucky and never stopping in our retail town. We are a destination town. And I just wanted to say that. And I know Dan was talking this afternoon or when I came in about, generations. What was that, 1947 or something you saw on the ad?
Advertisement from 1949 for your grandfather, which I will give you if you contact me, I gave you my card.
Yeah, matter of fact, Dave Zillick's mother said she has a big poster that has a bunch of that information on that I'd like to
I
get
might
from
have,
her.
God rest her soul, but I might have given Ed a copy of that too, because I had about 10 copies made.
Okay, maybe so. Well, we'll see.
Does Hader
It's always
Hardware?
fun to find old pictures.
Is it Hader Hardware?
No, Harder's Garage.
Harder's,
It's a
I think.
poster from
Oh,
1949.
it's Garage, okay,
Colerain
okay.
Avenue. I had a automotive repair, boat repair, had a radiator fabrication and repair shop on that property, motorcycle repair, all at the same time, motorcycle repair and sales, used car sales and repair. So this is really a perfect use for this. And with it, the way it stands, you know, it's freestanding. It's not attached to any other buildings. It has its own fire hydrant in the backyard and its own serious fire system that you had us put in when Pep Boys was in. So that is it. Other than
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
hopefully you'll see clear to let us move in.
Okay.
Thank you.
So was there anyone else that had raised their hand specifically to the fireworks question and zoning change? If not, Mr. Miller, if you would speak to the next one.
Second text amendment relates to medical marijuana. Again, as background, several years ago, after the Ohio General Assembly legalized medical marijuana in Ohio, this board passed a resolution to prohibit the cultivation, processing, or retail dispensing of the product in the township. And it was recently discovered that after the passage, the definition had not been added to Article 16, the rules of construction and definitions. And so this text amendment simply adds it to the zoning resolution.
And was there anyone that was wishing to speak on this topic? Seeing none, I'll ask if you introduce the next one as well. Well, yeah. Yep, sorry.
All right, third, finally, the Third Amendment expands the districts where microbreweries and microdistilleries may locate in the township. Currently, they are limited to only B3 and I1 districts. With the growth of the popularity and these entertainment venues and the desire to make more space available to microbreweries and microdistilleries in Colerain, it's recommended that we permit them also in B1 and B2 districts with their additions in the business use table. This text amendment also adds microbreweries and microdistilleries to the business use specific regulation section of the zoning resolution. And that's all I have. We recommend passage of both of these items.
And then if there was anyone that was here to speak on that topic. Seeing none, I would recommend closure of the public hearings.
I recommend I motion to close the public hearing for the text amendments concerning fireworks, medical marijuana, and microbreweries, microdistilleries.
I'll second that.
Okay.
No comments.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right, board. Next on the agenda is citizens address.
Okay, Steve Funk, did you want to speak? I know, did you want to speak again? You were here? No, so you're good. Okay, I'm going to put you over here then. We have Kathy Moore. Oh, there's another one. Okay. Okay.
Good evening, Ms. Moore.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
I have a couple of topics to talk about. First of all, there was no date stamp, and there was no date on documents received, and no date of effect or revision on job descriptions. Regarding Plattenberg, an agreement dated August 1st, 2022 was approved for $5,600, which remains open and was carried over to 2023. It is stated that progress billings will be made monthly. No invoices have been received after March 31st, 2022, according to my public record request. Another agreement with less information was approved a month ago, not to exceed $3,000. So what have they done and what will they be doing? It sounds like someone is hiding something. I have submitted a request for everything Plattenberg does for the city of Colerain, as they always say. I believe we have 3 full-time employees in the finance department, and we still have to have a private accounting firm perform these duties. One example of what they do is they develop a development or correction of revenue and or expenses coding and detailed documents to support those items. Other procedures as necessary by the city or county auditor. My guess is this is why it takes 1 to 2 months to get the reports posted. Our own employees aren't capable of performing these duties. You continue to waste money. You yourselves don't even know what this firm is being paid for. They just submitted an invoice for thousands of dollars with no explanation, and we pay them. It's only taxpayer money, right? This process has been going on for years. Why can't the finance department learn what Plattenberg is doing and allow our employees to perform the process? To my knowledge, the Uniform Accounting Network produces all reports necessary for the end of the year. As poor as the previous fiscal officer was and her finance director, they did not hand out all the work to a private firm that we know of. I am giving you a copy of a state auditor release where a phony invoice scheme was set up, resulting in $193,000 of theft. This is why, and I can't believe I have to tell you, we need detailed invoices to show what we are paying for. I'm not saying this is happening, but certainly could. You have to wonder why they aren't willing to show you what we're paying them for. I've said too many times to many different boards, we request public records because we don't trust you. Here are a few examples. The township overpaid, these are taken from audits. The township overpaid the law director $17,286 above the $100,000 annual maximum in the contract. The township did not approve a contract amendment for the additional amount, as I'm sure many contract changes were never approved either. The contract for the attorneys stated that they were part-time employees of the township. Policies and procedures say that in order for an applicant to be considered for employment, it's required that an applicant must submit a signed formal application using a form provided by the township. Neither attorney did this. The township issued a $4,000 check to the Summer Events Committee for a sponsorship approved by the administrator. It was never approved by the board. A charge of $138 to Things Remembered was approved by the administrator. Things Remembered engraved a pocket watch for a former trustee. The township did not have a policy for donations and gifts. The board did not approve this. An employee purchased hundreds of foam footballs on a township credit card and had them shipped to her house. An administrator was overpaid $750 for his car allowance. An administrator purchased $750 of Potbelly gift cards and a gift card for Dick's Sporting Goods. The administration had IT charges, and they were charged to the fire department amounting $8,025.
Okay, your time is up. Thank you.
May I please finish? I have information to provide for you
What do you
also.
What do you need, a minute or two?
2.
So I'll motion to extend the address by 2 minutes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. IT charges for administration were charged to the fire department amounting to $8,025, and this money had to be transferred. back to the fire department. There was also $60,000 that was not didn't even attempt to recover from the IRS for the employer share. The amount the employer, which is Colerain Township, put into Social Security for that disaster we had. Regarding the rules for minutes, first of all, there was no vote by the trustees to accept the rules. This is a public meeting forum. This is a public building. You're a public officials, and we are the public. So I would consider this a public forum unless you refuse to allow us your constituents to speak. It was stated that it's a business meeting. Stephanie and I have always used the township as a topic for our comments. As our elected officials, are you refusing to address any question asked of you by a resident regarding the township? I guess it would make sense if you can't answer a question in an email, why would you expect someone to answer a question in a public meeting? So please stick to business and avoid chit-chat about anything non-business. I remember we had to listen to a man stand in a meeting for 25 minutes discussing or informing us of the former law director's swimming accomplishments. This is the last thing. I am going to provide you with some records, some forms, and I would like them to be noted in the minutes that these are the things that I'm giving you. It's 2 copies of notices I received for notification of special meetings via email, a job description for management analyst. It states minimum education is a high school diploma or GED. The job description states a bachelor's degree or public administration of a similar field.
Okay, your 2 minutes are up. Thank you.
And a document on the open meetings, Ohio Records Open Meetings Act.
Thank you. Do you have one for Mr. Baker here too?
I do,
Okay.
just for the one, the reports that I.
Okay, if you want it reflected in there, we need to give Mr. Baker. So can you make a copy of mine?
No, I have it.
Okay, all right.
I have it just typed out, I didn't make
Oh,
a
okay.
copy of each item. And there's one for you, Miss Ulrich.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, next up is RAELO, I'm trying to have a hard time reading this writing, NEDIUV is, okay, I'm going, Cowpath in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Okay, I just didn't want to mispronounce your name. So you're not going to come up and speak then? Okay, all right. Okay, we have Greg and that's what I wanted to double check. Okay, we have Mark and Pam Mendenhall. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us. My name is Pam Mendenhall, and this is my husband, Mark. Last week, we attended the Hamilton County Sheriff's Sale and were the successful bidders on the property located at 29, 2990, my eyes on.
Yes.
Capstan. We are here tonight to let you know why we think it should not be demolished and what we plan to do to make the property a very nice home for a brand-new buyer. I have a few slides. Well, I can't show those at this point. Mark is going to give a packet to you guys, and it has the MLS listings of homes that we've done in the past. in the
You can bring
Colerain
them up here.
Township
Go
area.
ahead.
Go ahead.
While she's speaking. Okay.
And it also has, it shows what they sold for and how quickly they went pending.
Thank you.
And a letter from the Hamilton County Health Inspector is in there. We met with him yesterday at the property. Also, there was an email from the attorney that is handling the foreclosure case to us.
Thank you, Mark.
And a letter from the roofing company that we use stating that they can start as soon as we get title transferred into our name. And then we have a letter to the Colerain administration regarding providing financial security. I want to go over the timeline that we have. I don't have a copy for you, so I'm going to have to email that. I'm really
Okay.
sorry. Okay, upon confirmation of sale, within the first 60 days, the house and the garage will have new roof, gutters, downspouts, and siding on both. We'll replace the front and back exterior doors and all brand-new windows. There'll be a new garage door, and we'll repair the fence. And we'll also, it didn't change, we'll also put in a security system at that point, and the yard will be kept maintained throughout our ownership.
We had to put a timeline in there, but I understand that.
Use the mic, please.
We understand the supply chain issues might cause it. Right.
And then within the next 120 days, all new electric, all new plumbing, HVAC, flooring, new kitchen and bath, driveway resurfaced, of course, painting, new interior doors. Everything will be new in this property, and we do this a lot. Mark has over 50 years of experience. I have about 30. So he's really good at it, and we're very proud of the work that we do. We also have another packet that Mark is going to give Mrs. Ulrich that shows photos of all of the properties that you have on the first packet, and then a couple more that we had just sold recently as well. That
Timber Point, okay.
yeah, that were not in Colerain, but they're very local,
Right.
very close. One's in Cheviot and one's in Mumford Heights. And we just want you to see our pictures, but they don't tell the whole story. Now, I know this gentleman, Dan Unger, was at our Georgiana Drive when we did that, and you probably don't remember. But that property looked as bad as Capstan. And the Pippin Road that's in there, it was worse. It had a tree growing in it. No kidding. I mean, there was tree limbs inside the house. It was crazy. We are very proud of what we do, and we do a good job. I'm not biased or anything, but we do a very good job. And we will make this property look phenomenal, and you guys will be very proud to have it. And it will sell quickly because there's no inventory out there right now for our buyers.
Thank you.
What? Hold on.
You got 24 more seconds. 24 seconds.
24 seconds. Hurry up. What?
We wanted to go over some of the paperwork that's in what we passed out.
Well, I think they can figure that out.
We can look over this paperwork, but we do want to,
That's going to come up later on the agenda
in
for
the agenda,
discussion.
we will talk a little later in the agenda.
So please stick around.
Yes, if you want to,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely, hang around. We need,
Okay.
this is going to be later on the agenda.
Oh, that went so much better than I expected. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is it Ray Janovinsky? Okay, I just got one right. Hi.
I'm gonna speak for my dad.
Good evening, thanks for coming out.
I'm sorry.
I said, good evening, thanks for coming out.
Thank you for having us. And I want to say congratulations to Jeff on his new appointment, and Kathy, your
Okay.
share, and then there are also photos. The photos are clearly marked
Okay. Take Jen, then I'll do the
more here. We're here this evening with my dad to request and ask assistance from the Township Trustees to go over a issue that we've been having on our street, and other residents on the street have also been having with McDogg's Lakeside Tavern. McDogg's Lakeside Tavern, when it was originally purchased, as you can see, was purchased based on a nonconformity compliance certificate. Based on the nonconformity compliance certificate, there are to be no changes to the structure. I included images from the Hamilton County Auditor's webpage where there are significant structural changes due to the extension of the tavern's original square footage, the new construction, patio and walkways, and expansion of the fence perimeter. There's also been changes to the parking, cars parking in the grass on the easement, and there's also part of the usage nonconformity compliance certificate that this property was purchased on. The nonconformity usage of McDogg's is zoned residential and should not qualify for a noise ordinance due to the fact it never had outside entertainment when it came into existence, nor should McDogg's qualify for a blanket permit based on the fact that it is in a residential zone. We've had an increase in incidents of crime and traffic accidents due to drunk patrons of McDogg's. There have been property damage to homes and public utilities. Some of the pictures that you'll see are homeowners' fences and gates, mailboxes that have been torn down by drunk drivers, telephone poles which have caused power outages in the area, a fire hydrant that the city had to pay for in excess of $3,500, and excessive trash. And those are all documented in the photos that I provided you. Also, recently, due to the fact that we've come here and we've expressed our complaints to the trustees and been vocal about it, and other residents on the street also want to come forward, but they're afraid to come forward. We've had an incident where an African-American family had their been shot at. That has not been resolved at all. We've had other residents tell us they're afraid of what might happen to them due to that incident. So we're standing up for the people who don't have a voice. Approximately 2 months ago, a McDogg's patron followed my father onto his property after my father told him that he shouldn't park in the grass, which is an easement. It is not owned by McDogg's. It is part of an easement on the side, but they are currently parking there. The person followed my father, and he basically told him he was going to effing break his legs, he was going to effing break his arms, and he was going to effing kill him. My dad told him to leave and called the Colerain Township Police Department. They never responded to the call. My father called the police twice with no response both times. 2 weeks ago, there were several cars that were left overnight at McDogg's, which has become an incident, a reoccurring incident currently. Overnight at McDogg's, the police came to tow one of the cars. Later that day, a man and a woman came onto my parents' property as they were in the backyard to ask why my parents had their car towed. My dad asked them why they left their car overnight because my dad didn't have their car towed. The woman responded by saying he was drunk. That's why he left the car overnight. So we've had excessive cars being left overnight because the patrons are too drunk to drive home, which I guess is good that they are actually leaving the cars there, but if they're being served too much alcohol, that's another problem. As you can see by the photos that I provided, we've had trash, we've had property damage, we've had threats, and I noticed in the agenda, just happened to be on the agenda tonight, that they're requesting a blanket noise ordinance for the summer months. And I am here to say I completely and totally, as a resident of Beavis Lane, object to you providing them with that blanket that blanket authorization to have music all summer long. It has not only increased the crime, it has increased the traffic accidents, and the last thing you'll see on one of the last pictures I'm showing you is the fact that someone was run off the road right before I took a picture. Some young lady was run off the road by one of the patrons on our street within like a few doors down from my parents' house. I'm asking that you do not grant it. I'm asking that also this is based on a nonconformity compliance certificate, and I'm asking for any structural changes and anything that he has done either be put back to where they were because they were not permitted and they were not allowed, nor have they been inspected for safety reasons. I'm just asking you to do what you put into law and have him adhere to that.
Okay.
That's
Do you
it.
do you need this back?
No, you can keep
Okay.
this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Actually, I would like you to keep them. And also, on the noise ordinance, this is based in a residential zone. So according to the fact, even though it has a D liquor license, since it
Ma'am,
is
I
in a
think there's going to be a
residential zone-
motion, and you've gone over 5 minutes.
You have gone way over your 5 minutes.
I appreciate that, but you
I know
let her-
we had a motion to give you more time, so that I was trying to break in. And since you've gone over,
Give
so
me some more time. I would appreciate that.
well, can we give one more?
Motion that we give her
Give
2 more
me-
minutes.
Two.
like 2
Okay.
more minutes, please.
Okay. Okay.
I'll second.
I was saying on the noise ordinance, it specifically states in the noise ordinance, and I made a copy of it, it specifically states that even though they have a D liquor license, if it's based in a residential zone, they are only allowed 4 of those noise ordinance variances. But if it's a business in with a D liquor permit, they can have that blanket one, but it is in a residential zone. So either you need to rewrite your noise ordinance because it is unclear, and the way it is written currently, it is written as the zoned residential with a D ordinance, with a D liquor license, can only have 4. Then it contradicts itself and says a D liquor license with a business can have a blanket. So I'm saying it's a nonconformity compliance certificate zoning in a residential zone. He should not be allowed to have one, period. Because it was never used for any outside entertainment. And to change what the use is would be going against his nonconformity compliance certificate. And at this point, I believe I've reached out to Mr. Solomon, unless you're new, Mr. Solomon? You're not new? Okay, well then, I know I've emailed you multiple times, and I've requested clarification on this, but it's gotten to the point where my parents are getting threats, and if you guys don't enforce it, we will start a recall campaign to have you recalled, and if we can't do that, we will work on a campaign to seat new trustees who will take their job seriously and will have and follow the laws that you have written.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chad Ballard. Okay. Okay. Then we have any other citizens address? We're good? Okay, and then let's move on to administrative reports.
Yes, Board. Starting off our administrative reports for the evening will be Chief Walls out of the Fire Department.
Good evening again, and I promise I won't have to come up a second time. For our incident activity in the month of February, we had 729 EMS incidents. We had 166 fire incidents. We had a building fire in the 8200 block of Sandy Lane with a $50,000 loss. We had a building fire in the 3200 block of Ainsworth Drive with a $5,100 loss. We had a water and ice related rescue recovery in 11,800 block of Stone Mill and a trench below grade rescue in the 10,400 block of East Miami River Road. Property value loss was $55,100 for the month, and saved was $124,430. Cumulatively, we have a 68% save rate for 2023. Our average response time for the arrival of the first unit was 5 minutes and 24 seconds, and first unit on scene less than 6 minutes was 66.17%. And then one other item of note, we were notified by the Department of Commerce Division of State Fire Marshal, State Fire Council that on April 26, 2023 in Columbus, Ohio, 6 of our employees will receive the 2023 Ohio Fire Service Valor Award for incidents that took place in July of 2021 and August of 2022. And that's my report, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Fantastic, congrats.
Good job. Thank you.
All right, after that, we have Lieutenant Dean Dorfline from the Police Department providing our police updates.
Are you going to say anything to him?
Oh, we were going to remind you not to fall on your way up, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I must have missed something.
Thank you, sir.
He told Helen when she was first speaking not to trip on her way up and made her really nervous, so that she wanted to get back at him.
All right, bear with me as Chief is on his way up to Columbus for a training seminar over the next 3 days. So I will be filling in for him tonight. Administrative report for the Police Department. In February, the Police Department responded to 3,368 calls for service, which is an increase of 3% of calls for service when compared to 2022, average of 128 calls per day. For the month, we have conducted 229 traffic stops. We have made 11 OVI arrests. We've made 117 arrests otherwise. There were 4 uses of force for the month. And during the month, we had no traffic pursuits and no internal investigations. On the code side of the department, 100 total violations, 195 inspections, 64 violations closed, 16 violations referred to housing court. Property and maintenance violations were 10, zoning violations 7, and our workhorse Henry has done 3 litter, 18 abandoned vehicles, 21 parking complaints, 3 solicitors, and 25 communications with the public. Update on the police department's efforts. With tonight's consent items, we will be at 57 officers, which is the highest we've ever been as a department. We are still looking for 10 more officers to hire. 2023 application process so far, 94 total applicants, still ongoing and receiving those on a daily basis. 65 of those candidates have been removed from the process. 23 are still actively being worked at different steps within our hiring process. And for the year, we have totaled 8 new hire police officers. Last meeting, there was a question during the citizens' address. The question was, we were asked how we proactively were searching for nuisance properties. Currently, Stan Schmalley, who's full-time, and Nick Hopewell, who's part-time, are out actively searching for nuisance violations while inspecting reported violations. Of the 100 violations entered into OpenGov for the month, staff has entered a large majority of them. That's the administrative report for the police department, unless there are questions.
Are you familiar, one of the previous speakers mentioned some recent problems on Beavis Lane. Some of these pictures look like they're a little dated because I think I've seen those before.
Okay.
Are you familiar with any recent problems on Beavis Lane?
I am not. I have been on nights for probably the last month, training one of the newly promoted sergeants, but I made notes to actively look into those complaints and try to get some information out of those.
Okay, the zoning violations that you're talking about, that's in the parking. I mean, I've been up
I mean, the broken fence and stuff, I think that happened at some time in the past and not recently.
Yeah, I'm unaware of anything.
I realize I'm asking you something that you
That's
haven't
fine.
seen, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I can look into that. I made a note in the back to.
There's no current active investigation on McDonald's right now.
Not that I'm aware of. Lieutenant Penley was here, but he was sitting next to me and we were unaware of anything.
The person who spoke is here in the audience and not hearing any of this.
Well, I can only address what you're asking me.
Right.
So I will look.
Our dad's sitting over here.
Okay.
I will look into it and have Chief report back accordingly.
Okay.
About those
Okay,
complaints.
thank you.
I think we should hear from the zoning if there's zoning violations.
Sure.
also.
Well, those were more police issues
Right, I know,
and drunkenness
police, yeah.
and stuff.
Since we're on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe trip.
Thanks.
All right, and next up For the Public Services Department will be Assistant Administrator Tiffany Mays.
Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, first I would like to respond to citizens' address from the last board meeting. The question was posed, do we still use a campaign compliance bid form? The form in question was utilized in 2019 and has not been used since. However, staff has recently identified the need to include similar language regarding non-collusion and began using an affidavit for this process as recently as including it in the Colerain Park playground bid package that was advertised on January 12th of this year. The second question, did we contract out cleaning or hire a staff person to do it? The answer is no and no. The township has neither contracted nor hired a staff person for janitorial services. In short term, we've used members of the Parks Division to do the cleaning work on the behalf of their daily schedule. The third question, can we use the street sweeper on township streets and also county and state streets? While we are not restricted in any way to utilize township equipment on county and state boulevards, it would set an unrealistic precedent for our county, for the county and state if we did. One of the benefits of being a township is that we are not obligated to care for county and state roads. Caring for non-township assets would create a gap in services to township assets. It would not be recommended to use our street sweeper for this purpose. Part two of that question, we currently do not lease our street sweeper to North College Hill. In prior years we had. We did lease the equipment to North College Hill, primarily due to the greater staffing capacity within our department. When the township agreed to mow the 275 Gateway from ODOT, this reduced our ability to street sweep. To maintain this area, we will need to dedicate a roads employee for 1 to 2 shifts per week, depending on how much the grass grows. So, part two, project updates. Colerain Road, US 27 bus stop project.
Excuse me, I'm going to have to interrupt. I'm having a hard time hearing. If you have some side conversations, please take them outside. I've got competing conversations going on. It's very difficult to kind of figure out what's going on.
Thank you.
I wanted to provide the board with an update on the US 27 bus stop. In the previous board meeting, I mentioned they would start work on March 1st. We've been notified that now a new timeline was presented and they will begin work on April 1st. You will see, actually as soon as tomorrow, you'll see postings on this work to be done just to alert the public on that interruption. Phase 3 of the playground, have some updates on that, which I'll discuss in new business. Okay, and finally, I'd like to divert your attention to our the projector. As you can see, for the month, our visitors is actually above our target goal of 25,000 visits. I definitely can say that is due to the very warm, unseasonable weather we've had in the last 3 weeks, except for this week, obviously. And then the bags of litter and trash, we are way above our target of 25 bags as well, as you can see. Any questions?
Could you give a brief overlay of some of the bands that you have coming in the park districts and the movies? Sorry, did you bring that with you?
I did not.
Okay, it's on the website.
Yes, we are advertising that now.
So we've got some fun activities in our parks this summer.
We do. I'm actually super excited about the schedule. I think it's going to generate a lot of activity and positive social activity, and it'll be a fun summer. So check it out.
Check our website.
We'll be blasting that out too as it gets closer to those event dates.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up from the Development Department, we have David Miller.
Welcome back, sir.
Real quick, volume for permits in development remains steady, but it certainly is slower during the winter. So for 2023, so far the last couple of months, we've only had 3 single-family homes approved for permitting. We've had 11 commercial, 9 solar, and then 26 other permits that we've had to process on a variety of projects in primarily homes. One noteworthy move just found out about. It's planned for relocation of a national retailer out of Northgate Mall, and that's Bath and Body Works. And so they are moving to Stone Creek Town Center. They're going to be on the end of the strip where J.C. Penney and Old Navy. Yeah, I think they're taking that spot.
I thought it was Justice, yeah.
Justice is, I think that's, the address is that specific one. So
Okay.
30,
Okay.
I think space 31.
Okay.
So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
I did send you a note that I had picked up through my commercial life that there has been a bid put out to do the improvements at the Body Works store. So that is happening.
Yeah, it is Jen's birthday, you said. Sorry, Jen.
All right, thank you, Board. And I've got a relatively short report, but I was able to look up the summer concert series so that you all are aware. The bands that we are having come this summer are Tailor Made Band, Acoustic Blue, the Jump and Jive Big Band, the Cincinnati Civic Orchestra, and the Middle Aged Man Band. So that is the group that is on slate for this summer. And then one other thing that I wanted to highlight for the community, back on February 17th, so just a couple days after our last meeting, yes, the Colerain Chamber of Commerce had their annual awards dinner. And in that meeting, we were recognized by the business community. The Colerain Township was for the Beautification and Community Involvement Award. So this award was given to us in highlight of a lot of the different efforts that we've taken on over the past several years. And we take that as a challenge to do even more as we move forward. So just wanted to share that with the community. It was a well-done event all around, and happy to answer any questions that any of you all may have.
Okay, that concludes the administrative reports. Now we'll go to trustees. Who wants to go first?
I'll make some comments.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone who's here this evening, and then congratulations to all of our police and fire that were recognized earlier in the meeting. In response to a couple of the citizen comments, the question of Plattenberg has come up several times, and I believe we need to certify our documents with a CPA stamp, and that's why we have Plattenberg here, and that's my understanding of what they do, and I'm very comfortable with them. There was a mention of what was called a $17,286 overpayment to the law director. No. Occasionally we use them to do other things that are outside of the contract, so I'm sure that payment was legitimate. There was a comment about $138 for a pocket watch for a former trustee. That was 4 years ago, and that was a previous administrator, and that did not involve the board. There was talk about paying back Social Security. Back in 2015 or 2016, the administrator at the time had brought on part-time firefighters as part-timers, took Social Security out of their paycheck rather than pay into the fire retirement fund because they were part-timers. And I guess the way that was settled out was the township, which was before any of us were here, but we are still the successors to it. The township went ahead and made a payment to the fire retirement fund, and to get the $60,000 back from Social Security would have cost a lot more than that in time and legal fees to get it back. And that answer was given probably 4 years ago, and I still stick with that answer. There was a comment about somebody standing up and talking about Larry Barbier. I don't remember a meeting where somebody talked about his accomplishments from 1968 when he was on the United States Olympic swimming team and for the Mexico City Olympics in 1968. I found that out towards the end of when he used to attend our meetings. So I don't remember a meeting where somebody talked about that, but congratulations to Larry for his participation in the Olympics. That would be, 55 years ago. So one of the other residents made a comment that people are afraid to come forward. My phone number is 513-404-3057. If you have any of those type of issues and you're afraid to come forward, call us or call Matt or call Kathy, and we'll certainly deal with you, and we won't turn your name or anything. I live here. I'm not afraid to go anywhere in the township, and any of the trustees should be comfortable going anywhere. I do not like to hear that our citizens are afraid to step forward and make comments. And I mentioned something at the very beginning of the meeting. I-275 between Blue Rock and Colerain was closed for 3 or 4 hours the other morning due to a very sad and untimely passing of a motorist who was involved in a very devastating accident. And please watch where you're driving and be careful. And I know that disrupted a lot of people. I think it was Thursday morning getting to work. And thank you to our police and fire too for responding to that. And that's all the comments I have at this time.
Okay, mark your calendars for July 3rd for our fireworks, because we got a negotiated contract with DV8, with a terrific band. So excited about that. I have to commend the Chamber of Commerce. That was an incredible event at the Donna Schwaben Center. They recognized Bill Rumpke and John Stalin into the Hall of Fame, and two humble, wonderful men, very family-oriented. They gave terrific speeches, and I thought it was a very well-done event. And we were up against, for our plethora of beautification, against people working cooperatively in Clifford YMCA. So that was a real kudos to us for all the work everybody in the township does for the trees and cleanup and everything else we do behind the scenes that people don't see. Also, I had a meeting with the Hamilton County about the gun range, and I think we have confirmation from them that they will send out a third party to give us a report on the sound and decibel levels. So, and the media launched a campaign that was wrong. It was retracted, but nobody hears the retraction. They are not starting to build. They are just out going to be seeking bids in the summer, I think they said. And in the audience, we have Eric Reifenberger, and he is our aluminum can collection person for Colerain Township. And Eric is the best way to look you up on Facebook, so you can come with your truck and pick up aluminum, so it goes towards the Shriners.
100% of all metal raised is converted into a check delivered to the fire department, and that in
And they call him Batman because he works at night, and he does do a great job with his truck picking up everybody's cans. And I got a big load for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Great. All right, thank you. I met with, also met with Hamilton County, City of Cincinnati, with Mr. Weckbach regarding the regional training facility. Some of the things that, and I still haven't activated the website yet because I'm still in the process of trying to extract some concessions. One of the concessions that we have, if you have any questions about, there's going to be an FAQ and frequently asked questions on about the noise levels and things like that. Ms. Ulrich is correct. They are bringing out a third-party look at the noise levels that it'll bring, and are giving us some examples of similar ones across the country used with this kind of specific technology. And there are a number of other things that are still in the works that would benefit Colerain Township with that. My goal on it is to have Colerain better than before, somehow. And if that means that in some cases, the claim is that the noise levels will go down from now. We'll hold that to the test and see if that's going to be correct. I met with via phone with Senator Vance's office about a number of issues, including one that's particularly important to people in this area, and I'm going to get this wrong, I think. The Mill Creek conservation is currently paid by feds.
Yeah, through the Army Corps of Engineers.
And that goes back to Colerain citizens and to...
Yeah, so Colerain has what's called the West Branch of the Mill Creek that is a part of it. That extends all the way up to Winton Lake, and then Winton Lake deposits down into the Mill Creek, which runs all the way down to the Ohio River. That gray infrastructure that's in place that runs down to the Ohio River is and has historically been maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers. And years ago, prior to COVID, just before COVID, there was talk of the Army Corps of Engineers no longer maintaining that infrastructure, turning that over to the local watershed. Being a part of that watershed, that meant that there was a potential that a judge could decide that Colerain residents would have to pay to maintain that infrastructure, which is not located inside Colerain Township.
And I stress the importance of that remaining in federal hands that are best placed to solve those issues. In addition, we do pay a through each property tax wastewater funds that equal almost $1 million through Colerain Township. And I'm going to be exploring kind of what that's used for, but to me, it seems like it's a double tax, and I'm not a big fan of that at all. Also, some local people that Rose and Tom Enderhees did a fantastic job. We worked at it through my day job at Elder, and I think, I forget what the total number was at Elder. I think we raised about 5,000 water bottles for East Palestine. It was like
11.
11 altogether.
It was 11
Yeah.
altogether, because our group did it, yeah.
And it's the East Palestine situation, obviously not Colerain, but what bothers me about the situation is that really everybody seems to have forgotten them, and I guess that that want to fight for the underdog in that case, and those folks, their lives have changed immeasurably because of what's happened to no fault of their own. I had a long meeting with the city of Cincinnati, and with regard to hazardous waste. The more it's interesting because you saw Michelle Balls here talking about the waste diversion, the solid waste plan. This is so intricately complex. For instance, hazardous waste, if you're a corporation, you're not allowed to dispose of it. If you're a citizen, or you need to dispose of it, actually down off of Winton Road, there's a place. But if you're a citizen, non-corporation, the rules are not nearly as stringent. So in the past, what the Hamilton County Solid Waste Department has done has had hazardous waste disposal days, where you meet at a certain place and you dump off the hazardous waste. What the benefit is in that for Colerain is that it doesn't go in the landfill. And that's something that through the Solid Waste Committee that we're really working on. I firmly believe that the Colerain Township should take a leadership role in the solid waste board because we're the ones that have the biggest to gain or lose, no matter what happens. I had an interesting talk with Mr. McElravy just after, was it SVB? I'm getting it all confused. The Silicon Valley Bank, when it went out, one of the things that happened, obviously they made some risky investments, but what concerned me is the fact that if you look at the reports, Signature Bank followed, another bank from New York followed, and the estimates are some $260 billion of losses on the banks, on bank statements now. Obviously, so accounting-wise, the way a loss works, if I buy a stock for $100 and tomorrow it falls to 50, I haven't lost 50 till I sell it. And the concern is this $260 billion of losses that are soft losses on bank statements could lead to further troubles. And for me, the question is, look, what do we do? I mean, we don't have a bunch of different accounts so that it's 250, 250, 250, the FDIC. Mr. McElravy has gone over that. I'm not going to get much deeper into the weeds on that, but there are protections that we have because the funds, we have them in different types of funds, primarily through PNC Bank, which one of our major holders. And for, this is for the folks, Mr. Unger mentioned the terrible accident on I-275, and I think Mr. Lieutenant Dorfline, I'll probably get this right. There are people that responded the night before to the individual who, the pregnant individual who was killed was the same one, were the same ones that responded the next day. And it just, I guess for me, it's just kind of throws a light on once again how difficult the job really is.
Yes, sir. That's correct. The same squad responded to the fatal crash at the shooting.
And that's, to me, is just, I mean, I don't know how in a 12-hour period you respond to both of those and then go home at the end of the day and say, all right, kids, what's next? I mean, it's just a very difficult, and it just makes me so appreciative of the work that all our first responders do. And it's just, I mean, it just absolutely bowled me over when I heard that, and I can't thank the folks enough that responded. And we had a busy week. We had Quaker Steak and Lube, and we had that, and a lot of other some shenanigans at the same time. And you know, it's amazing. And we had a high risk warrant raid that Colerain participated in with SWAT, Cincinnati SWAT, right?
Yes, sir. ACPA, Hamilton County Police Association, SWAT team responded in reference to a murder warrant that a suspect had committed in the city of Cincinnati, and he was located within the township.
And had allegedly killed his sister?
Correct.
Yes. So thank you again for I mean, it's amazing the work they do on a daily basis. You take out any 24-hour section, and it's like, wow. There used to be a commercial in the Army. We do a lot before 9 a.m. Colerain Township first responders, they do a lot before 9 a.m. And in that, I just want to know, let the folks know that doesn't go unnoticed. I appreciate it so much. Very briefly with the citizen comments, I think Mr. Unger covered a lot of the information with Plattenberg. A lot of the items that Ms. Moore mentioned, I think are terrible, and it was before I got here, and maybe certainly before Ms. Ulrich got here, and many cases before Mr. Unger got here, and there was no way I would buy. Sorry, Dan, I'm not buying you a watch.
I didn't buy any watch.
There you go. I mean, I just don't think it's right. I agree. I'm in agreement with that.
I think we've established a gift policy since then.
The issues at McDonald's, I have followed up several times with the previous administration with Mr. Mills and Chief Denny, and Lieutenant Dorfline has made a note of it, and I will talk to Chief Cordy, who is very, whether he likes it or not, is very approachable in my calls at all times of the day about all kinds of issues, and see what the issues are, and I'll have more to say about the noise permit when that comes up, and if we could get maybe, I don't know, the conforming, non-conforming use, if we could get that defined and see, does this count as a conforming or non-conforming use from the point of view of our zoning? That would be fantastic. Because I think that we're working with multiple different interpretations of what's out there.
Well, if there's a non-conforming use permit that's been issued, that would really, that would lead the day. That would really define, because it would have already been issued.
So is there a non-conforming for the porch? Or we don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe we can get that. We can get that data, and we can find out what exactly that is. I think that there's probably, and from what I heard, I need to go back and read the actual wording of it. But I think that there's probably just a difference in belief of what the noise ordinance means if you're a residential versus a non-residential. Because if it's a non-conforming use, that they have a certificate, it certainly would be different than residential, I think. But I do want to check that and make sure that I understand that correctly, or if I understand it incorrectly, that we will visit that as well.
And we should check out with Jared, too, to see if there's any zoning violations.
Right. I want to look at the zoning, and I want to look at any.
Right, the crime in the, yeah.
Sure,
So you gotta
and
do things.
see what's going on with that. So that concludes my address, and again, a little bit lengthier than I thought, but thank you for paying attention.
Got your voice back.
It comes and goes. I think it goes out whenever I'm talking to sophomores.
Okay, so that concludes the trustee reports, and we are on to new business.
Yes, so the first items of new business tonight will be presented by Lieutenant Dean Dorfline out of the Police Department.
So can you get 4 pages in real fast here?
I tell you, when he left, he said, "Can you do this?" I said, "Yeah, I can do this." And then he threw the file on my desk, and I said, "I don't want to do this." No, it's fine. Obviously, numerous items, A through O, so I'll get through them just as fast as I possibly can. A resolution declaring nuisance and ordinance abatement. The resolution allows for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and/or refuse at the following properties: 7992 Cheviot Road, 7451 Colerain Avenue, 9654 Colerain Avenue, 3201 Deschler Drive, 3202 Deschler Drive, 11935 Gravenhurst Drive, 9185 Orangewood Drive, 2718 Overdale Drive, 2733 Roosevelt Avenue, and 2739 Wheatfield Drive. A recommendation for the, recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll move to adopt a resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement at the properties listed in the resolution and verbalized by Lieutenant Dorfman.
I will second it.
Any discussion?
And for those following at home, this is all in our agenda. Just like the trustees are following it, you can go online and see all these addresses.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item B, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 2565 Royal Heights Drive. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property: 2565 Royal Heights Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45239. Vehicle, Ohio, license plate GAR 1754. George Adam Robert 1754, which is a 2001 Gold Dodge Stratus. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution declaring the junk motor vehicle at 2565 Royal Heights Drive.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item C, resolution declaring junk motor vehicle at 2735 La Grove Circle. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property: 2735 La Grove Circle, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45239. There is no Ohio license plate or any plate at all on this vehicle. It is a 2001 red Chrysler Pacifica. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle on 2735 La Grove Circle as stipulated by Lieutenant Dorfman.
I'll second that.
Any discussions?
None.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item D, resolution declaring junk motor vehicle at 2936 Willow Ridge Drive. I recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property: 2936 Willow Ridge Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45251. There's two motor vehicles on this one: Ohio license plate GDS 4361, George David Sam 4361. This one is a 2002 silver Saturn Ion. Vehicle number 2 has no plates on the vehicle. It is a 1997 blue Chevy S10 pickup truck, and recommend adoption of the resolution.
Motion.
I'll motion to declare junk motor vehicle 2936 Willow Ridge Drive.
I will second the motion for the two junk vehicles there.
Any discussions?
None.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item E, resolution declaring junk motor vehicle at 2945 Willow Ridge Drive. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare an order of abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property: 2945 Willow Ridge Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45251. One vehicle at this property: Ohio license plate GVG 3885, George Victor George 3885. This is a 2001 Gold Ford Taurus. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
A motion that we adopt the resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 2945 Willow Ridge Drive as described.
I second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item F, resolution declaring junk motor vehicle at 3740 West Galbraith Road. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicles at the following property: 3740 West Galbraith Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45239. There are 4 vehicles at this location. The first has no license plates on the vehicle. It is a 1986 gold Oldsmobile Delta 88. The second one, again, no license plates on the vehicle, is a 1988 silver Ford Econoline. I believe that's a van. Number 3 has Ohio plates DKX 8339, David King X-Ray 8339, 1996 gold Nissan Pathfinder, and the final vehicle is Ohio license plate AH33DS. It's Ohio passenger Adam Henry, 33 David Sam, and that is a 1992 silver Chevy Cavalier. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we adopt the resolution declaring the 4 junk motor vehicles at 3740 West Galbraith Road.
Second it.
Discussion?
None.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item G, resolution declared junk motor vehicle at 8941 Pippin Road. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property, 8941 Pippin Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45251. This has an Ohio plate of GLJ 5760, George Lincoln John 5760. This is a 1980 white Grumman box truck. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll move to adopt a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle, 8941 Pippin Road.
I'll second.
That sounds like a pretty old box truck. I think I've seen that sitting up there.
I was going to say that was before I was around, so.
Corn?
Yes. Sorry.
It's,
That's why I stumbled over it.
I've seen it up there.
Apologize.
No other comments?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item H, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 9488 Pippin Road. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of a junk motor vehicle at the following property, 9488 Pippin Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45251. This has an Ohio license plate of JMU 2731, John Mary Union 2731. This is a white Chevy C6500. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion we adopt the resolution declaring the junk, I've lost my spot here.
Yeah, H, a junk motor vehicle at 90.
9488 Pippin Road.
Yeah, so,
Wait a second.
yeah. Okay,
I
gotcha.
lost mine.
Yeah, I lost my spot too.
We got new computers.
All right. Did we have a second?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
We're really cleaning up Pippin Road this week, aren't we?
Item I is an IDA, resolution declaring junk motor vehicle 9763 Dunraven Drive. I recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property, 9763 Dunraven Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45251. This has an Ohio license plate of DWF 3652, David William Frank 3652. Again, this is a 1978 black Pontiac Firebird, and recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll resolve to adopt a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle in 9763 Dunraven Drive.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
No comment.
Okay.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item J, resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 9844 Pippin Road. Recommend adoption of the motion to declare and order abatement of the junk motor vehicle at the following property, 9844 Pippin Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45251. This vehicle has an Ohio license plate of HRM 5311, Henry Robert Mary 5311. This is a 2006 blue Chrysler 300. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we adopt the resolution declaring the junk motor vehicle at 9844 Pippin Road.
Second.
Discussion?
No comments.
No comments?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item K on the agenda, motion to issue a noise resolution permit to McDogg's Lakeside Saloon. This is the first request for a permit in 2023 for the business. The request for the permit is from May 5th, 2023 through October 28th, 2023. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we adopt the resolution to issue a noise we need to get it to the floor, and I don't think we're taking comments from the audience at this point. I motion that we adopt the noise resolution permit for McDogg's Lakeside Saloon.
I'll second it to get to the floor. My
Now we're gonna have the discussion.
Yeah, my intention would be that this would be tabled until next month when we get a full report from police, zoning, and police and zoning.
I'm in agree with that.
The, several of the, and I'm fine with that too, several of the things that were mentioned aren't relevant to a noise permit. If there's structural changes, that's more of a zoning thing. Nothing was talked about. Have these, I don't know what the status is with the Ohio Liquor Board. Those sound like complaints that would go to the liquor board if there's excessive drunkenness. And as far as the building permits for those items, that would need to be confirmed with Hamilton County if those permits have been issued, if there's been building permits.
For building permits, correct. For zoning permits, that would be us.
But they mentioned there was some changes to the building. They would have to get a permit to make a structural change. But if there's structural changes, they would have had to get a permit. Unger. Yes, but they would have to get a building permit to have, not to engage a member of the audience, but
It's not a conversation.
you mentioned there were structural
We
changes.
can't have this conversation because we can't tape you what you're saying. I'm sorry. It has to be on the microphone.
So I heard from two of you that you would like to table this, so I would recommend, I don't know if you need a motion to table this.
to-
Yeah, so I'm going to motion. So I think first, in order to be, according to Hoyle, I think Mr. Unger would need to withdraw his motion. Because we have a motion and a second, a motion and a second to issue.
Yeah, well, you can,
Or a motion to amend, I mean, I think you can have a motion to table it.
I thought it said.
Okay, I'll just make a motion to table
Yeah, I thought it says our
the noise
procedures.
resolution permit to McDonald's Lakeside Saloon until next meeting and until a fuller report, till we get some information back.
I'll second that.
And I believe the next meeting is to be held on April 11th, 2023.
And that's within, they're asking for May, I believe, right?
So that would be before that May meeting date,
Right.
yes.
All right, we have a, do we have a second?
You motioned and Kathy seconded.
Right?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And
Thank you, board.
you've got a few more items, don't you?
I do. I go to N. We're on L.
Yeah, Jamie, if you could let her know that it was a 3-0 vote to table that. She looks like she's a little upset out there.
Go ahead.
Ed never has these problems. It must be you.
I carry it with me wherever I go. Item L is a motion to authorize the Township Administrator to execute a purchase agreement with Axon Enterprises, Inc. Axon is the sole source provider for these services that will allow the department to provide state-of-the-art, less than lethal, and body camera technology. We are currently in a year 4 of our body camera contract and year 5 of the taser contract with Axon Enterprises. Our current contract only has the allotment for 60 taser devices and 65 body cam devices. With the growth of the department to 67 sworn officers in conjunction with the contract with Northwest Local School District, we are in need of a minimum of 72 devices. This contract is for 75 total devices, allowing us to have 3 spare devices if one should malfunction. In addition to the additional overall devices, the contract also provides the department with unlimited video storage, virtual reality training that is focused on de-escalation and mental health training, auto tagging feature, which will save officers time, and auto replacement throughout the contract period. The payment agreement is as follows. Year 1, 2023 is $178,788.32. Year 2024 is year 2 of the contract, $185,939.85. Year 3 of the contract in 2025 is $193,377.40. Year 4 of the contract in year 2026 is $201,000. $209,112.46. And year 5 of the contract in 2027 is $209,156.97. Recommend adoption of the motion. This is a very lengthy contract, and it is attached to the amendment, I guess, the motion.
So I'll motion to authorize the township administrator to execute a purchase agreement with Axon Enterprise, Inc.
I'll second.
There's quite a few items here on the delivery schedule. These are all body-worn cameras and some car-mounted cameras?
They're all body-worn cameras for
Yes.
our officers and sworn personnel.
Okay.
It will automatically replace through the contract, over a 5-year contract, they will replace our body cams automatically without any additional cost 3 times throughout that 5-year contract.
Right, yeah, there's quite a few items on there. Okay, thank you for
And you can see on the agenda package how costly these tasers have gone up significantly. So,
I've never, everything's listed here and it's detailed in the agenda. Sure, the cameras are $749 apiece. The taser unit is, the cartridges are $2170. The Respond device license is $1519 per unit. The auto tagging license is $976 per unit. And then it just describes what all that is, and it's all in the agenda. No other comments from me.
no comments.
Yeah, none.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item N is in Mary. Motion to authorize the township administrator to execute a purchase agreement with, agreement and related documents with Recherche Kennels. Recherche Kennels is a dog training facility that is based in North Carolina. They have been in business for over 15 years and have had trained over 500 dogs. Their extensive dog training, titled Doggy Double Doctorate, includes house training, obedience training, socialization training, outside training, and comes with upwards of a lifetime warranty. The options available for purchase both come with over 725 hours of obedience training and has been recommended by the company for our therapy dog program. This is a strategic goal for the police department. This purchase of the dog will be the first step in a therapy dog program for the police department. Having a dog with a temperament selected for this type of work with their obedience training already behind them will start the program off on the right foot. This purchase is part of the strategic initiative for the department and is part of the 2023 approved budget. Recommend adoption of the motion.
I motion we authorize the township administrator to execute a purchase agreement and related documents with Recherche Kennels.
I'll second. And what Matt brought up about your officers responding to a deceased, murdered person, to a deceased, that therapy dog can help in that. In any family situation, that if a child is in an issue, that there's multiple uses for this dog, and we're getting a terrific bargain for these dogs. They normally range between 20 and 25,000, and we're getting it for $5,000.
Yeah, I believe we've negotiated with the vendor, and they would be willing, because of the importance of a program like this, to award us a contract at a steep discount, somewhere in the ballpark of $5,000 to $6,000, depending on exactly which dog it is that gets selected.
Look forward to seeing
Oh,
it.
I'm not too happy to hear that it's a double doggy doctorate.
Well,
As someone that holds a doctorate.
When we get it, it's got to come in.
Those ain't that easy to get.
Yeah, I mean, Dean, do you recall how many hours it takes for those? It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 1,000 hours, I think, of training.
As the dog progresses in age, they can continue to train it. They have selected 2 dogs for us already. And they have taken it out to their community down there, into grocery stores, into schools, parks, to socialize the dog, to make sure that they're recommending the right dog for us in our program. So that dog has already received 725 hours of training, and upon approval and picking the dog up, it will be in excess of that.
Is it a lab?
There are two. There is a Labradoodle and a Bernedoodle.
Yep. Hypoallergenic for. Yep.
We want it to be around our guys and obviously officers in the community as well.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. If the community will respond well to that.
Double doggy doctor.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item N is in Nancy. I believe, nope, I got one more
Yep.
after this. Motion to authorize the township administrator to execute an agreement in substantially the same form with the police department rotation records, establishing impound fees for 2023 through 2025. The agreement will replace the current agreement that expires on April 1st, 2023. Impound fees will remain the same, and added definition of the word recovery. This agreement will go into effect April 1, 2023 through April 23rd of 2025. The tow companies that will be included in this agreement are the following: Lambert's Towing, Bluss Towing, Ingalls Towing, and Bratfish Towing. On page 92 of the agenda packet, there is a typo. It states credit card fee is going to be 4%, and it should read 3%. Recommend the adoption of the motion.
A motion, we adopt the fees for record rotation.
Second.
Discussion.
And it looks like the tows it's all detailed here in the agenda. The tow from one of them is $190 per tow, and
That has gone up too.
$216 per tow. And I guess guys all have different equipment to handle different sized vehicles as well. And there's storage charges and so on and so forth. So I understand what you've presented. And it does say 3%
Okay,
credit
I
card
found it.
fee on
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Did you say that it was supposed to be 3?
I would. Yes, it's supposed to be
Okay,
3.
it does say 3%
Okay.
on there, so. No other comments from me.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes, on the other one, it says 4%. On the first one, it says 3, so those are both supposed to say 3.
Both 3%, yes,
Okay,
sir.
got it. Thank
Mr.
you.
Waller?
Yes.
So my vote was a yes also.
Item O, motion authorizing the township administrator to execute an addendum to the contract with Northwest Local School District. This addendum modifies our current contract with Northwest Local School District by adding one additional school safety officer. The term of this proposed addendum ends on June 14th, 2023. Recommend adoption of this motion.
I motion we approve the contract with Northwest Local Schools.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Just for clarity for you all, our contract with Northwest Local School District for every position that is contracted with them is up for negotiation this year. That's why this position for right now is only up until June 14th of this year. The entire contract will be renegotiated, and this position will be included in that new contract.
Okay, all right, good to know.
No other comments.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
That is all I have, Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Sir.
Good job.
All right.
Oh, you got to stand, you got an ovation over there.
Next up tonight, we have Tiffany Mays to present some items from the Public Services Department.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me back. Excuse me. I have 4 items under Public Services. The first is a motion to approve additional appropriations with landscape structure playground equipment for Phase 3 of Colerain Park Playground in the amount of $30,500. In an effort to reduce the cost of the Colerain Playground project, staff recommended that the township direct purchase the playground equipment from the supplier. This method will eliminate the markup through third-party purchasing, as well as provide additional cost savings with the ability to receive state contract pricing. With the update on the purchasing method, the total cost of the equipment is estimated at $159,793, which is reflected in the attached quotation. While this is a reduction in comparison to the contractor's pricing, an additional appropriation in the amount of $30,500 will extend the total cost of the project to $430,500.
I motion that we approve the additional appropriation to landscape structures playground equipment for Phase 3 for $30,500.
I'll second that.
And thank you for your work on getting that to where the trustees are comfortable with it. I know it started out much higher than that.
And
It came in at $480,000.
right, so we got it down 50, yeah, so we have a grant for 400, so the public does know. So the
Yes.
township's gonna pay 30,000, they wanted 480, we got it down almost $50,000.
Yes. And then just to note that although the grant is for $400,000, we will receive $392,000 from the state, so that the additional $8,000 would bring the Colerain Township contribution to $38,500.
38,000, good.
Yeah,
okay.
the state likes to keep a cut for administering the
Oh, I
grant.
forgot about that little administrative cut.
Administrators are very
Nobody
expensive.
understands that, but-
Yeah, okay. Any discussion?
No,
No other comments?
no, thank you for saving some money for us.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 2, a motion to authorize the township administrator to execute a contract with Urban Canopy Works for project oversight of the next phase of the street tree planting plan. Urban Canopy Works LLC is a licensed arborist contractor. They provided assistance during our last street planting project in the fall of 2022, and they are in consideration with the township's lack of having an arborist on staff, it is recommended that the board extends this partnership with them to provide oversight, guidance, and other information during the next phase of the street planning project.
I'll motion to authorize the township administrator to execute a contract with Urban Canopy Works for project oversight on the next phase of the street tree planting plan.
I will second it.
Now, this bid for $159,000, I'm looking, that doesn't include the tree, wood grain bench, it's, okay, it's, that's all the two-ply design. Okay. I'm just looking at it. Never mind. Okay, wrong one. Okay, go ahead.
And these will be planted when?
It's best to plant trees in the fall.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
I was just
It doesn't- we
making
have the
clear that
trees
if
or
people
anything.
hear this
Sure,
and then
yeah.
they wonder where they're at.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a lot of people like to plan on Arbor Day or Earth Day, which is April 22nd, but that's actually not enough time for the roots to establish before the summer heat.
Right, I just wanted to point that out in case people started saying, where are the trees? So
I was on the wrong page, sorry, before. It's, Kathy, I was on the landscape structure. I needed to turn the page. It's going, it's between $3,400 and $6,000. Is that what you have, Tiffany?
I believe so.
It's on page 100.
And I apologize for not pointing
No
that out
problem,
in
I
my
just wanted to make
discussion.
sure I'm on,
it's based on $95 an hour.
Yes.
And the invoice should land somewhere between $3,400 to $6,000, depending on how many hours it takes.
yes.
No other comments from me?
No other comments?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
The third item is a motion authorizing the township administrator to execute a right-of-way consulting agreement with OR Colerain for the Hamilton County Road 3.89 Pippin Road Sidewalk Project. It is necessary for the township administrator to execute a right-of-way consultant agreement with OR Colerain for the Hamilton County Road 90-3.89 Pippin Road Sidewalk Project. The scope of this project, in partnership with the Ohio Department of Transportation, involves temporary right-of-way acquisition to complete the installment of sidewalks along Pippin Road from the corner of Stout Road to the entrance of Lake Gloria Residential Project. This agreement will not exceed $32,300 and has been identified in the 2023 Capital Improvement Plan.
I'll motion to authorize township administrator to execute a right-of-way consulting agreement with OR colon for the HAMCR 90-3.89 Pippin Road Sidewalk Project.
I will second it.
Discussion?
So this will be an interesting case because I think there's some other areas where we want sidewalks that we're having right-of-way issues, and if if this works, a right-of-way consulting agreement, it could open up some other areas.
Yeah, so through most of these projects, that's what these folks specialize in, is understanding all the different tools that are at our disposal from a legal standpoint, whether that's a right of entry, whether that's an easement, whether that's a construction easement, or whether that's full, dedicated right of way for the project. And so they understand where we need to have vehicles parked and when and for how long. And so that helps them to know from an appraisal standpoint exactly what compensation package they should be taking to the homeowner.
And if I can add to Jeff's statement that a lot of these takes are temporary. They call them takes when you overtake a right of way for a certain amount of time for construction project. None of these are, I think there's one area that is a permanent take, but otherwise they're temporary.
And it looks like the total maximum compensation for all the listed items would be $32,300.
Correct. It will not exceed that amount.
Not to, it says it will not, maximum compensation, 32,300. No other comments from me.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, and the final item under public services is a motion to issue a request for proposals regarding the sidewalk maintenance program. The sidewalk maintenance program has been created to repair and maintain neighborhood sidewalks utilizing a portion of Community Development Block Grant or CDBG funds.
I'm motion we issue a request for proposals regarding sidewalk maintenance program.
I'll second. Discussion?
None.
None.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
All right, the next items in new business come from the Development Department, and that will be led by Mr. David Miller.
All right, first item is a motion to initiate a text amendment for recreational marijuana. And this motion comes from Trustee Wallert. And so I wanted to open the mic for you to kind of explain what your goal is here and how we can accomplish that.
So it's talking to various state lobbyists. It's my understanding that recreational marijuana will be on the November ballot. I have traveled extensively through the western United States and some of the areas where recreational marijuana is a reality. It's been kind of my episodic observations that medical or that recreational marijuana outlets tend to create a blight in the neighborhood. The promised tax money, none of it will go to a township; it goes to the states. But the cost of any kind of crime associated with it then is borne by the townships because we pay for police and fire and things like that. So it's my belief that it's important to get ahead of this early. And I'm one of three, so I may be outnumbered. I don't want it. I don't want it grown. I don't want it sold. I don't want it distributed. Recreational marijuana products in Colerain, and I want zoning to figure out a way to make that happen.
All right.
So typically there are a couple different ways that text amendments can go through the process. One way is for the Board of Trustees to create a motion to initiate a text amendment, which then would send this issue back down to the Zoning Commission. And then they will draft language, and that will ultimately make its way back up to you all through their processes. So I would, if you all motion to open this.
Motion to initiate a text amendment on recreational marijuana.
And I'll second it.
And so my recommendation to you all would be to have a discussion that might provide some context. So as the Zoning Commission is contemplating what that text amendment might look like, they've got something to look to and some things that they've heard from you all as they go through that process.
I think it's bad idea. There's enough stoned people out running around. I've looked at states that have it, and I'll use the example of Missouri and Kansas. The insurance rates are almost double on the Missouri side, and they don't have full-blown recreational, but this just is taking us down a road, the recreational marijuana dispensaries, and I just assume if we're going to have them zoned somewhere, that our zoning commission comes up with a creative way to locate them. As Mr. Wallert said, I do believe they bring along blight with them, so.
I don't believe they bring blight, and if it's going to be a legalized sale, that somebody can bring a business if it's legal. I think we can minimize them like we did the vapes. You can't drive down Colerain Avenue anymore without smelling pot, so it's not legal, but they're still all doing it. And I don't believe it's going to be a blighted area.
The statistics just don't bear that out. I mean, you can.
I know, I've been to Vegas, I've been to Colorado, I've been to I've been where it was, and
But the crime rates in these areas that have it have gone up. They haven't gone down.
On the other issue, Matt, is that it's still federally illegal, and all these states are coming along and doing the things they're doing, but.
well, that's what they're talking about. The feds are going to make it legal.
No, the state.
Well, the class I took up in Columbus, they said the feds are going to do it.
I don't think the feds are going to do anything about it, but I think the day is going to come when there's going to be, things tend to go back and forth like a pendulum, and I think the day's going to come when the federal government's going to take a position on it. But at this time, it's still federally illegal.
Right,
even
so
though
then it's a
states are-
moot point. We don't even have to discuss it if it's still federally illegal.
No, because it's being decriminalized. It's not a moot point because the states are making the argument that they can decriminalize it and allow it legally, as they've done, I think, 17 states. The federal government has just said, well, we're not going to weigh in on it. We're going to let states do what they want and yield to the states' rights on that. So if the state does legalize recreational marijuana, and I anticipate that vote will pass in November, people can go buy it and use it in Colerain if they want, if it's legal. But I don't want the dispensaries, the growing in the sale of it done here.
So what we're going to do is direct the zoning commission to come up with a draft based on our comments. Matt, is that what you're?
I mean, I sense that we have a split in the comments. I don't sense it's pretty clear.
Oh, I'm in total disagreement, so
Right.
I'm.
So you would have it unzoned and just.
I
have
would
a
think
store
we should,
anywhere, or-
just like a vape store, we've put a limit on vape stores, and they were saying the legalization, it's different. If they take it to another class, it's not gonna be a legal substance. So that's another area they're looking to discuss, because right now, cocaine's not even that illegal, it's a class 2, because they still use cocaine for eye surgery and nose surgery. So it's this ecstasy, meth, and heroin, and pot still in that, but they're talking about declassifying that also.
Right,
So
and
it's
I
not
think-
gonna be an illegal substance.
No, I don't think that the federal government is going to declassify that.
Okay.
And they just don't, they don't have any, the thing that bothers me is there's no longitudinal studies that show what this does to people. Does it damage people's lungs if it's inhaled with smoke? Does it lead to more depression? Does it lead to more suicides? Does it lead to more people driving under the influence? We don't have longitudinal studies because it's been verboten to kind of study that.
Well, it was legal till, what, 1953?
Right, we still don't have longitudinal studies.
Right, but then when you go into a pot store, they don't just sell it for, not everybody just smokes pot. It's candies, it's all kind of different.
I get that.
And so if somebody does have it for depression, they can go in, or for pain, or for cancer, whatever.
And they can.
Ohio already has medical marijuana.
Huh?
I mean, people
Yeah,
can
you
do
didn't
that
want,
if you go get a
didn't want
license.
the medical marijuana in Colerain Township because it was still illegal substance. You
Right, yeah,
said that.
that's true, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm.
I just think
I'm
it's a
with
moot
Matt
point
on
till
this,
it's
and I think
legalized.
we should have it, well, now see with the fireworks, we didn't have that in our zoning. What Matt's trying to do is get out, get out in front of this so we have something if this should come to pass. So I think it's very good to be proactive on this and have something in place so that if
Well, the
there is a vote
proactiveness
this
is
November.
there's none with what you're saying.
I guess I don't understand what you mean, there's no
Well,
proactive.
because you want to get the zoning out because you don't want any here.
Right.
So that's what you're wanting to put in the zoning.
Right.
Okay.
I proactively don't want it here. And that doesn't interfere with anybody's right to smoke it if it becomes legalized.
So would this resolution look something like the medical marijuana that prohibits it in all zones? Sounds like what Matt's saying.
Sale, growth, and distribution in all zones, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's still a chance at the end of the day that the zoning commission looks into this, looks at a bunch of different regulations and rules, and they make him come back with something that is different, and then we get to have that discussion and debate through a public hearing and other processes when it does get back here. This would just be the vote to tell the zoning commission that we would like you to start that process. It doesn't mean that there's a dedicated timeline by which it will get back here. That's going to depend a little bit on their schedule as well as internal staff and some others, but it does start the process for us.
Well, it's March, and I think it's fine time to start that process. It might take several months, and I'm fine with it.
Ms. Ulrich?
I guess just to get it started, yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Next item is a resolution that is approving or denying the zoning commission case ZA 2023-01, which is a major amendment to Stone Creek. It's relative to the public hearing that we had earlier tonight for the construction of Zips Car Wash. And the recommendation is for approval of the major amendment.
So I would just recommend that as you all initiate this motion as well as your next couple, to be very explicit if you are approving or denying the item.
Your packets include both
Right.
approval and denial, so you can.
I motion that we approve the resolution for zoning commission case ZA 2023-01, the major amendment to ZA 2005-003, 3711 Stone Creek Boulevard, to permit the use of automotive service.
Sorry. I'll second. Discussion?
So, I guess, I don't know if my question's to Mr. Solomon, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Weckback. On what part of the rubric is my decision made here? Based upon what when it comes to the rezoning of this?
Yeah, typically, as we're coming through this lens, we look at density, intensity, and use, and those are the three biggest factors that we keep in mind. Do we think that this is the right density for that parcel and that plan development? Do we believe it's the right intensity, and do we believe it is the right use for that space?
So density, intensity, and use. Do we have, I'm sure we have some data here, because there's a Zips right up the road, on how many cars visit that on probably, I would guess, a Saturday or Sunday would be the busiest of days.
Sunny days especially.
I do not have those numbers, but I don't know, David, or if others do.
And
That isn't data that was provided with their application. I don't know if they have that with them now.
I don't know when it is that they can run. It was just great.
So for the folks at home that didn't hear that, that would be, at a high rate, it would be 150 cars an hour. What did the zoning board say with regard to, those are some really weird egress and access points to Stone, because you've got, you already have some kind of strange things happening with the chicken place and Valvoline, and you get back there and it kind of splits off. What would what impact would that have on the traffic flow?
They did not discuss traffic flow. There are two ingress egress to that to Stone Creek, and so that wasn't an issue that they considered. One of the topics that was discussed was the excess litter that became concern for the Zips southern location. And so there was a consensus that there would be extra effort made to put lids on all the trash cans. They have those ordered for the ones at the south location. They will come installed with the new northern location. And so that is a proactive approach that they are taking to ensure that the site remains neat and tidy. And so that tended to be one of the primary concerns that was discussed.
That's certainly a concern of mine, but doesn't really fit under the auspices of density, intensity and use. So I guess my concern is what kind of data did we consider with regard, if we're going to change the zoning on this, what kind of data did we consider? That light can get really difficult at times. And I think it's confusing for people, and it's been there, 15, 20 years, and I still get mixed up. If you go in the one exit versus the other, and then if you need to go to FedEx, what impact is that going to have on the quality of the rest of the businesses there? With I would imagine on a day right after it snows, when it's sunny, you're probably going to get them flooded in there. And what is going to be the route that they'll take once they're through the process?
I don't recall the traffic flow. Is that established yet?
I can maybe answer the question. I wish we had a site plan, which we don't, to explain it better here, but the location of the Zips car wash basically gives the purpose of that oversized parking lot. When we were there, we could see cars actually just running diagonally through the entire parking with no obstruction. What we're doing, we're putting quite a bit of landscaping, and if you have access to the site plan, actually you can see.
Yeah. Looking at it, and it shows.
For the public, it's right in front of Myers grocery store where there's a turnaround. It's got.
That's not exactly what we're proposing. You're just looking at the location of
Right.
what's going to be put in, but.
Well, that just shows where it goes, and it's not up by Colerain Avenue. It's way back in the development.
Right. Yes. It will be way off Stone Creek, but like I said, it will basically provide this direction that you need there without. So it will prevent cars from just.
Right. People
going
go.
wherever.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So and as far as the traffic. The traffic impact analysis, we can obviously submit that once we go through the submittal process for the building permit. This is not something. It's not a gas station, basically, and we do have pretty lengthy drive-through lane, which provides a lot of stacking, and I believe it was double lane, so that will not have cars.
So you're going to have 2 wash lanes for the cars, you're saying?
So we'll have one lane into the car wash with 2 stacking lanes running parallel. So it will provide for a lot of good amount of stacking cars.
Like Mike's car wash, they have the one lane.
Right, because Mike sometimes backs up on pretty
Right.
much on Colerain right now, I think.
Backs up to Compton too.
This is going to have a double stacking lane to queue people in to where you're paying. Once you exit the pay, you will enter a one-way, one entrance into the tunnel. When you exit that tunnel, you will exit out and head towards the vacuums. And then you can make a decision at that point whether to vacuum your car or exit the facility.
So Matt, the site plan I've got on the screen here to your left.
Go down one.
So that is just sort of the higher level overview of the entire site. And then, so I zoomed in on that. Whoops, sorry. I'm losing the spot here, trying to work on the side screen. Zoom out. So this is the proposed, how they've got the plan set up for what they're proposing. And then later on, this is probably a better diagram. So these would be the stalls that we were just referencing, as well as the drive.
Stalls for, what are those stalls again?
Vacuum stalls.
Vacuum stalls, okay.
So there's the 2 lanes. Go back down. Yeah. Sorry. Go actually up 2. One more. Sorry, that one right there. So as you enter, you're going to be completely on Meyer's site. This is an outlot to their site. When you enter the property, you will turn left or right into that double stacking lane right there, which it's, I mean, the tunnel is 100, this one's 100 foot. So you got a couple of 100 feet doubled up for cars. And then as you go through the pay station, you will enter the tunnel in a single fashion. And then as you exit, you will come out right where his cursor is and make a decision whether you go left, right, go vacuum, don't go vacuum, go shop at Meyer, go shop at the rest of the facility. So I really don't think there's going to be any traffic issues driven by this. It's so far off of Colerain. It's completely on Meyer's site, and Meyer's site is really designed to handle a massive amount of traffic.
So each one of those tubes, for lack of a better word, is they're 100 feet apiece or 100 feet total for the backup lane, the stacking.
So that entire, the tunnel itself.
Yeah, the tunnel, yeah.
The tunnel itself in this case is a 100-foot tunnel. So you've got almost 200 feet of stacking, and then that's doubled up. So you've got 400 foot of stacking for cars to go into the queuing lane for the pay station.
And then the exits, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this. So the exits, which are, I'm trying to think what's there. The one, there's the, isn't there Best Buy?
You're way out there.
Best Buy's way.
You're way
No,
out there. It's down towards when you're going to do the circle where.
Right, where the La Rosas and the.
No, it's Logan's.
Right, okay. Yeah, Quaker State.
Yeah, it's down there where the traffic is minimal down there.
Go up one. I think that's the overall. We were at an overall view a second.
That's the one you on the corner.
I think the other one showed the turning circle and all the restaurants.
Gotcha, okay.
So you're.
See, okay, there's your circle. There's Logan's. Fridays. That's B-Dubs.
B-Dubs is the upper left, okay.
The top one, yeah.
Trustee Wallach, there was also discussion as far as a potential cooperation in trying with the property owner, obviously, as far as, attempting to continue to cooperate and connect, creating connectivity with respect to, I guess, Stone Creek Center and the Kroger Northgate Mall area. And I know there was reference to the, not on the site that's close up, but more on the property overall. I think between Meyer and what would be the other? What's the building to the south? But that was just a discussion as well.
Right, and that's listed in here, Scott.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the discussion was that there would be an effort to.
It says the community has specifically identified the need for a better connection between the Stone Creek Town Center and Kroger Northgate.
Okay.
And so that was discussed a little bit.
Okay, gotcha.
Just to kind of touch on that, I've reached out, I've discussed this with Meyer. Meyer, the discussion was that Meyer was putting up a roadblock to this. I discussed it with Meyer. Meyer said, we don't have any idea what you're talking about. And so I said, well, would you guys be open to discussing with the city if they can put together a plan? Again, this is not attached. I mean, JCPenney and everything all the way to Best Buy is between Meyer's lot and the location that they're discussing potentially adding this. There's got to be a plan. The city, if the city wants that, they've got to put together some sort of plan that they can take to the people who need to approve it, Meyer being one of the entities in the shopping center that I'm sure would have some sort of say-so in that. Meyer said, yeah, we would be willing to look at it.
Well, according to this, Myers owns the store and they would own the property.
No. Meyer owns the store and they own the property, but that property is not anywhere close to the discussion that we had the other night about where this cross-access would happen.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I meant as far as the car wash itself, Myers is well aware that it's going there. And
Right.
in fact, they're the ones who are,
Selling us the piece.
right, I see that, so they're fine with it.
But the cross-access, which is what was just brought up, was a discussion between Kroger and Best Buy, somewhere over there. or further to the east. Myers property is to the west of the J.C. Penney, that other big strip right there. So
Just a
again,
question.
Meyer is willing to discuss it if the city is willing to put together a plan and bring a plan to them, along with probably every other entity that has to have some say-so in that. It's just, there's
fine
got to
with
be a
it.
plan put together, and they're not going to.
Take it
Okay.
behind, you
Yeah.
gotta take it behind Kane's.
My last question then is probably for Mr. Miller. So this automotive service planned use would just be for that?
That parcel.
Parcel,
That they're
okay.
purchasing. And then locating the Zips Car Wash on it.
Okay. Just making sure I got mine.
Site, Yep.
All right, that's it, sorry.
No, it's good to have that discussion.
I just want to acknowledge yeoman's effort by the applicants to connect with Meyer and get that conversation started. It was part of the zoning commission's discussion, and so they reached out even as we are still trying to put those plans together, as rough as they may be. And so it's good to have their efforts in opening the door for further discussion on that access easement.
But you voted 4-0 to approve
The
this.
zoning commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval.
Yes. Any further discussion?
None from me.
Nope, I'm done.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. Thank
right.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, next. The three other public hearings, once again, fireworks, medical marijuana, and then microbreweries and micro distilleries. And so, as the public hearing discussed, these text amendments would add language to our zoning resolution. The fireworks, approve or deny the resolution. You have your options there. And that would add the definitions and then would clarify that fireworks retail sales and fireworks manufacturing would be in the I-1 districts.
What did the zoning
And
board?
the zoning commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval.
Okay.
I will motion to recommend approval for the fireworks zoning, that it would be in an I-1 district.
I'll second. Discussion?
So we're talking about the Pep Boys building, right?
No, we're not talking about the Pep Boys.
This is just to get a-
for the text amendment.
No,
to
just for the,
zoning
okay.
It's just a text amendment.
Text amendment for,
The zoning resolution, because, again, let me just rewind.
yeah.
We never addressed
Before-
fireworks.
Before July 1st, 2022, fireworks sales were prohibited in Ohio. They changed, the General Assembly changed the law. And so this is the first opportunity that we have taken to address fireworks in our zoning resolution. It's only listed as a prohibition for sales in vendor markets. And so it wasn't even listed in our zoning tables anywhere.
So not in, I mean, I guess my issue is there, would this text amendment apply to some type of distance from neighborhoods?
The I-1 district will have specifics as to what their setbacks are from residential. Generally, they're not going to be abutting residential. It's going to be abutting business districts.
So this is from, pardon me if I kind of read from this. This is from Florida, Melbourne, West Melbourne Beach. This is November 29th, 2022. I don't know if we're familiar with this, but this was a Phantom Fireworks where somebody drove a van into one of the stores, and during this time, and I don't know what would be different, hundreds of cardboard tubes from ignited rockets, mortars, and Roman candles littered the Phantom Fireworks parking lot after a Dodge Durango barreled into the building, sparking a dangerous and devastating fire that destroyed the store. The driver unfortunately died. Firefighters and first responders converged on the hazardous, fast-spreading blaze while hundreds of sparkling fireworks were shooting and spraying across the property from the Florida Today. Have we heard what the fire department has said with regard to this text amendment?
So, Captain Frank Walsh has.
Mark Walsh.
Mark Walsh. He has visited a potential site where this, where retail sales might occur. He has no issues with the building and what they are providing for fire suppression, and that's the breadth of his comments as far as code goes. His only other personal concern might be relative to the proximity of a park nearby. So that's Groesbeck Park that's right behind this one particular building that he has looked at. But once again, the resolution before you is not relative to
one specific location. It's to, I got you. I just.
That's the only comments that Captain Walsh has had.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't want it next to Kroger over here. I guess my concern is that the text amendment doesn't give me enough specifics on. I want distance from neighborhoods. I want distance from other businesses. I'm of the belief, and I mean, I might be the only one that there's a reason that these are sold off of I-74 in the country is because you want to keep it away from population centers for things like Melbourne Beach that occurred.
So I believe that the language in the text amendment requires it to be a conditional use in the I districts. Is that correct? So that means that even if these types of sales and manufacturing were contemplated, it would have to be a condition through a zoning process. So it's not just a carte blanche granting of it in any one district.
So it would be up to the discretion of zoning board and then later the trustees to confirm or?
I think that would go to the BZA, and then any appeal from that would go directly to the Court of Common Pleas.
Okay.
I have no other comments.
I have no other comments.
Unless there was a different approach for rezoning the property. So conditional use goes through BZA, rezoning go through Zoning Commission.
Yeah, so if somebody wanted to do a planned unit development and brought this forward as part of that PD.
And that would ultimately end up in front of the trustees.
So you said this has nothing to do with the Phantom Fireworks.
It's just putting in our zoning.
Right. I just when I searched consumer fireworks, that's the thing that came up. I
remember when that happened. This has nothing to do with.
Right. It just I don't think they belong in near neighborhoods. I don't think they belong near business districts, and that's just one. And for that reason, I will not support that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
No.
All right, thank you. Second resolution before you, the text amendment is for medical marijuana. As we mentioned during the public hearing, that medical marijuana was prohibited several years ago, and during that process, the definition did not make it into proper section, and this is just adding that definition. And the Zoning Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval.
Just bear with me. I lost my place again.
Yep, so page 138 is where the definition
Got it
is.
right here. I motion that we approve case ZA 202302 text amendments to the Colerain Township zoning resolution for medical marijuana.
I'll second. Discussion? I guess we discussed it.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right, last item is resolution to add, to expand the districts for microbreweries and micro distilleries from the current B3 and I1 to add B1 and B2. And the zoning commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval.
I motion we approve case ZA 2023-02 text amendments to the Colerain Township zoning resolution for microbreweries and microdistilleries.
I second. Discussion?
So one of the things that came up, so I have a coworker that actually works at a microbrewery. Is there a particular, and I remember my grandmother growing, my grandmother's house over in Hartwell near Seagram's, which the smell from that was just awful. I think you could probably still smell it off I-75. Is there a particular odor associated with microbreweries or?
Have you been to Fretboards or Municipal Brewery, or have you been to any of the?
Yeah, I've been to a
a
couple, yeah.
Did you smell anything?
A couple ones, the one off of Colerain, the tree, I can't think of the name of it, but there's just.
Distiller on Paul Wet.
Yeah.
Those are all-
Yeah.
Oh, Fibonacci's. I've been there, I don't smell anything, but that's what I would say.
The micro part of the distilling and the brewing is what is going to limit any particular odor. I've been to some and never been. And I've also driven by the Seagram plant, Jim Beam, many times, and
Lawrenceburg, Greendale, yeah.
it was offensive. But
I like the smell.
I don't believe that these microbreweries and distilleries are characterized by that same problem. That's been my experience.
All right.
No other comments from me?
Okay, Mr. Baker.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right.
And thank you for all the work our zoning commission has done on these items.
These are some complicated items. Thank you so much.
Two more items here under development. One is the withdrawal. So if you recall, last meeting, we approved the issuance of a contract for the lowest bidder to do the demolitions on 3 properties that were in our demolition program. And so after a number of discussions with this bidder, he looked more deeply into the requirements, costed out some things that he had not considered prior, and he backed out of, he wanted to withdraw his bid yesterday. So the first item here is a motion to withdraw award of contract for demolition to, for up to 3 properties from Battle Axe Construction. I had a very cordial conversation with him, and I asked him specifically, are you okay then with us withdrawing the contract and issuing it to the next lowest bidder? And he said yes. So that is what this item is for item F.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to withdraw the award of contract for demolition of up to 3 properties from Battle Axe Construction. And just note that before you get to item G, I'm going to make another motion related to that situation.
I'll second the motion.
And I'm glad they're withdrawing their bid. If they're not going to complete it, that would just turn into a mess.
Yep.
So,
Okay, Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. So before we get to G, I'm going to make a motion that, before that motion to accept the bid by Rock Solid for demolition of 3 buildings, I'm going to make a motion that Mr. Weckbach begin negotiations with, I don't know the name of it. Mr. Mendenhall. I don't know if there's a corporation involved, to perhaps save that property from demolition and bring that back to us at the earliest possible time for us to re-vote on that.
I think you're referring to 9929 Capstan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
So is that the proper way to do that if I second that, Scott?
Yeah, I think if you second that, then you can have a
Okay,
discussion.
I will second Matt's motion.
Okay, we're second, now it's up for discussion. We had talked that we would like you to negotiate with Mr.
So I think in terms of sort of next steps here, so we have a motion on the floor that
Right.
would instruct me to start working with the soon-to-be property owners to develop a game plan and an agreement that would have actionable dates that we could bring forward to a future meeting. A couple of points of clarity for me that would help me as I enter into those discussions is timelines. So if there are some hard dates that you all have in mind that you would like to be included in an agreement, things like whether or not we would be requiring anything like a bid bond or a bid surety or something to that effect. And then when it comes to a future meeting, just sort of clarity that if we're able to come to terms and say we're able to come to terms quickly, if that means that you all are comfortable with us calling a special meeting in order to facilitate that agreement.
So for me, I could answer that from my point of view in that Mr. Mendenhall has indicated that he's willing to provide a bond in case he does not follow through with the renovations, so then we're not out. We don't lose the grant money for it to be demoed. And I think that as far as timeline for that, I think that's I'm not a builder. I think that's a conversation that you guys can have, but I want it done certainly within a year.
Are you, okay, I know you guys would get it done way faster.
We'll let.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, in that I would like it to be, I would like it to be back to us, even if it's a form of a special meeting as soon as possible, so that we have either a positive or negative end of the story and we don't carry it out forever.
Sure.
To negotiate with all what we're talking about in a
My
contract.
understanding is that the Mendenhalls have contacted each of you all and discussed some of these things individually.
I was contacted by them, and just to give a little history of that property, when I started here 5.5 years ago, I received a call from one of the neighbors and went over and looked at it. It was completely overgrown. Somebody who lived there saw me looking at it and said, "Can I help you?" And I mentioned who I was and why I was there, just to look at it, and I offered this poor person sitting on the porch, "Do you need some help?" And he said, "Well, yes," in a very weak voice. And so Raj was here at the time, and Raj got Rumpke to donate a dumpster, and 10 or 12 of us went over and cleaned up the yard, and it was pretty bad. And I called the waterworks and found out that the water had been shut off in December of 2017 for non-payment. Excuse me. The place is a mess. It's been a disaster that particular day. I went $140 cash out of pocket and bought some paint just to clean up the fence, and bought pizza for everybody who was working there. That's what the long history of this is. I went by there today at 5 o'clock, and the place is still a disaster. It's there's vegetation overgrowth. Most of the front gutter has fallen off the house. The boards on the back of the house that have it boarded up are not secured. So, following what Matt said, this needs immediate action. I would just as soon knock it down, but these folks have made an investment in it, and I suspect they'll do a nice job with it. But this has been in front of this township for a very long time, and I even talked to the neighbor next door this afternoon when I was over there at 5 o'clock, and I have her phone number if you would like it, and I would expect you guys to get in there and get this handled as soon as possible. It has been a disaster for that whole neighborhood for a very long time, and it needs to be cleaned up, and the grass needs to be cut now, and there's just a lot of issues with that house. If you're willing to, and I heard what the sale price was at the sheriff's tax sale, but this needs to get cleaned up, and I'll support what we're doing here, but I expect that you would negotiate with Jeff and get some very hard dates on when these things would happen. And I know you'll do a good job with it, but you know, we've got a bunch of neighbors around there that have been waiting for many years to see this property cleaned up.
I was there with you, 2 years ago, cleaning it up, and it was a mess, but I think if we demolish it, we have to get another builder in there to build something.
I mean, it's a mess right now.
Right, and it's gonna be a
5
mess
hours
for a
ago.
while.
Right.
So I think if we've got people that paid for that and committed to that, and these properties that they have sold in 0 days, 7 days, 2 days. This one sold for $23,000 over the asking price because of the quality of the work this has done. I do believe the house will be done professionally and sell quickly.
Maybe it's the realtor that sold it quickly.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
but anyway, so I would expect that, Mr. Weckbach, I guess what we're doing with this resolution is directing you with Matt's motion, we're directing you to negotiate with these folks and get some very hard, solid dates, and I'm willing to meet as soon as possible. I don't want to wait till April 11th. As soon as you get an agreement in place that we can have a special meeting to discuss, I'm willing to show up with that contingent on, I think Kathy is out of town for a day or two somewhere in there, and I'd be fine as soon as possible.
Yep. With our 24-hour minimum notice.
I think they know how to negotiate.
And that meeting would be very specifically limited to the issue with that house.
And what I'm hearing from this is that Dan will buy people pizza, so.
Come on.
Mr. Mendenhall, I would like to address after the meeting, I would like you to come up. I'd like to give you this lady's phone number so you can call and explain to this very close neighbor what you're doing.
Is it the next door neighbor?
I don't want to mention her name right now, so.
Have you,
Speak to the next door neighbor, but I.
She did not, when I was over there at 5 o'clock, she did not know any of this was going on, so.
Well, I didn't tell her who I was
But she didn't know the place had been bought at sheriff's auction either, so I think we're talking about two different people.
Oh, okay.
So, but they did show up at our public hearing. We have, not only are we at this point, but we've done a string of legal processes over the last year and a half. We had a public hearing where people could show up and speak to this, and I recall the neighbor on Capstan did show up. Several others did, and people wanted it gone. So you guys coming in at 11 hours and 59 minutes to buy it is fine. I wish you well. Put one of your nice, beautiful restorations on that corner and sell it and revitalize not just that corner, but that whole street, because it's a subdivision, but the corner house is, improvement of that corner house will really, it's an eyesore, and it needs to be fixed, so. But we have gone through this for the last, not only what happened 5 years ago, but for the last year and a half. We solicited money from the state to help us. We applied for it, we got it, we voted to accept it, we had public hearings, we've done all these different processes, and last Thursday, you guys showed up to buy it, so whatever day that, I think it's outside of room 260 at the courthouse. I've been down there for those auctions, but it sounds like you're gonna have some cooperation from the trustees, but please negotiate with Mr. Weckbach and get some very solid performance dates on this, and establish a bond. Did we talk about what the bond would be?
I think he can negotiate that.
Yep.
It would probably have to be the amount that Rock Solid bid to demolish it, plus an inflation factor, because if we have to,
If you don't follow through, we have to demolish it, so we know you're.
We're willing to do a bond.
Right.
okay, well, that's great. It sounds like you're putting your money out there, and great, but as far as directing our administrator what to put in there, make sure that that's in there also. I wish you the best of luck. I don't wish you any ill will, but this has been going on for 5.5 years, and it needs to be, when we talked about this February 14th, I was hoping Battle Axe would get in there next week and clear the lot, but that never happened.
Forward to getting that exterior taken care of.
Right, and if you could get the lawn and the,
As long as we can get contractors over there.
right, and the lawn and the vegetation, and there's some trash on site, if that could be done even sooner than that would be great.
We have people that take care of all.
Yeah, have them cut the grass. The grass is 12, 14 inches long, so.
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay, thank you.
And let us know when there's a walkthrough. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would too.
See your work.
Please let us know, and I'll look
They
forward
like
to.
food, so if you want to have an open house with food. No, you.
Okay.
Him, like,
I think, Jeff, do you understand what we want?
Yes.
Okay, great.
okay.
No other comments on Matt's resolution?
I'm good.
So now we vote.
Okay, so we have a motion before the board to accept the bid from Rock Solid
Solid.
Construction.
Nope. This is a separate motion.
We have to
That's
vote on my
resolution.
separate motion
Voted on that one yet.
to give the authority to Mr. Weckbach.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right,
Now, I'm going to interrupt you, Mr. Miller, and I'm going to say that we're going to have to make a amendment to this,
okay.
because it's now two
Yes.
buildings.
Says 3.
Yes.
Yes, it does. So make your amendment.
Yes.
So I'm going to motion to amend the motion to accept bid by Rock Solid Construction for the demolition of 3 buildings that become unsafe, insecure, and unfit for human habitation. Change that to 2 buildings.
I second. No more discussion?
It would be the other 2 addresses,
Yes, not capstan.
which are in the agenda, and,
Jeff? I'm sorry.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And I would like to make a comment for the record. That would be 2864 Houston Road and 8806 Nabita Drive. Those are the two that we just voted on.
So to clarify, that was a motion to amend what was listed on the agenda. Now we would need a motion to authorize the township administrator to enter into a contract with Rock Solid for the demolition of the two properties. That would be 2864 Houston and 8806 Nabita.
So I'll motion to accept the bid by Rock Solid Construction for the demolition of now two buildings. That's 2864 Houston and 8806 Navita that have become unsafe, insecure, and unfit for human habitation.
I'll second.
And for discussion purposes, the cost by Rock Solid for the Houston property is $11,300, and the cost for demolition of the 8806 Nabita property is $11,330.
And hear ye, we are about to vote whether or not to demolish these, so anybody that's thinking about buying them at a tax sale. No, I mean, this is a public meeting, and
Right,
it's been
yeah.
advertised, and so, if this should pass, please instruct them to get on it as soon as possible, so we don't run into this again.
Bulldozer's running right now.
Get it done, after they get permits.
All right, I think you need a roll call vote.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The next items are from the Administration Department, and Assistant Administrator McElravy will be presenting those.
Jamie's not happy. Wanted it demolished.
Good evening, Board. The next item on the agenda is page 154 in your packet. It is a motion to authorize the administrator to accept a quote for service. This is with a firm called Secure Cyber Defense, which is our provider for products from a company called Fortinet. And in this case, it is for the FortiSwitch refresh project. There are a series of network switches that are part of our IT infrastructure that are distributed across our footprint, and they are overdue to be replaced. And that is one of the strategic initiatives for our IT director this year. Once this project is complete, the switches will work in conjunction with the new firewall that he installed last year to improve the performance, speed, and security of the overall network. The total cost of the project is $57,000, and assuming your approval this evening, implementation would begin in the second quarter of 2023. Staff recommendation is approval of the motion.
A motion to authorize the administrator to accept a quote for service secure cyber defense Fort Switch refresh project.
I'll second. Discussion?
Sure, there's a detailed hardware and support for $33,000 and a professional services for implementation for $24,000.
Which is total cost of 57.
Total cost $57,000.
Any other discussion?
None.
Okay.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
The next item on your agenda is on page 161 of your packet. This is the last step in the process for adopting the 2023 strategic plan and budget with the adoption of permanent appropriations. So there are I'd say a dozen or so changes from temporary appropriations to permanent appropriations, which result in an increase of a net amount of $1,022,225 in the budget to a total budget of $61,641,884. I can roll through each of these bullets individually if you'd like, or in summation, or I can summarize them, whichever you prefer.
Summarize is good.
It's pretty well detailed right here.
Very good. So the majority of the increases are the result of sidewalk projects. It also increases appropriations for the Axon contract that was referenced on the agenda earlier this evening. There are increases in the fire service for hopefully securing a new engine, and also for the replacement of a chassis on an ambulance. If I did not mention the various sidewalk appropriations, there are several of those as well. Staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution authorizing the adoption of permanent appropriations and amending the 2023 strategic plan and budget.
I'll second. Discussion?
It's very well detailed on
It
here.
is.
and
Nice job. Yeah.
It does, and for those wondering about where some of this extra money came from, it does detail account 2274, which was the funding we received from the American Rescue Plan. That's why that's one of the reasons this seems a little different than previous years. $7,496,967. That's why there's a different balance this year as opposed to other years.
Any?
It's kind of related, but seeing the self-insurance thing, can we get an update in the next couple of months of how that's worked out for us?
Sure. Yeah, we'd be happy to do
And
that.
I think it's going to be a very positive story to tell.
The best time for that will actually be in early June or late May. That's when our renewal packages will be before you all.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. So
Ms. Ulrich?
yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And the final item that I have for you this evening is on page 164 of your board packet. This is an update to the township's telecommunications policy. Essentially, what this does is align the policy with the changes that were recently made to the organizational chart. And what it does is allow for the EMS coordinator, the part-time public educator, and community paramedic to receive a $35 a month mobile phone stipend, and for the assistant director of public services to receive a $60 a month stipend, consistent with the stipends that are received by other employees in similar roles in the organization. And the staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution.
I motion we adopt a resolution to amend the telecommunications policy.
Second. Discussions?
None.
None.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Jeff. So the next items on the agenda I will handle. The first is a motion to modify the rules of procedure and conduct for the Board of Trustees meetings. You all recall we had a special work session in February where we talked extensively about capital reserves. I took the feedback that you all provided at that meeting and drafted an update to your rules of procedure. That draft rule is in your packet in a redline version. We don't necessarily have to take a vote today. This could be a first reading if that's your preference, or we could vote to adopt the new rules.
So, Mr. Quackback, it's always my preference when possible, if it's a change in rules of procedure, that we have it read twice.
That's fair.
And I'm fine with that. I don't know what my other fellow trustees would like to do.
I think that our rules and procedures calls for
It does.
two readings, so we would have to anyway.
That's easy enough. Then I will bring this back to the next meeting for a second reading and vote at that time.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for doing that. The importance of putting this in the rules of procedure is that if one day all three of us are gone, the next group will have to change the rules and procedure to get rid of the capital fund. And I think that's important in memorializing it in stone so that it's hard to get rid of.
All right, thank you, board. The next item on the agenda is a motion to amend our capital project. This is the Colerain Avenue sidewalk. This is from John Rose to Shady Crest, and that would increase the capital allowance to $2.1 million. So as you know, we go through a process each year where we adopt all the different capital projects that we are going to do. To date, for this project, we have received quite a bit of grant revenue that should equal or exceed the proposed project cost. We've received an engineer's estimate. ODOT has provided their own independent estimate, which is higher than our engineer's estimate. So this increase to the project would capture, in theory, the ODOT recommended cost plus any utility work that may need to be done on the spot by a contractor. The way that this grant works, as opposed to some of the others, since it is an ODOT-led project, which means ODOT is managing the construction as well as the award of the bids, is that they go out, they do their bid process, they send us a bill up front for all the dollars, we send ODOT a check, the contractor goes and does all the work. After we send the check to ODOT, we then turn around, reach out to all these agencies, which include OKI, SORTA, Hamilton County through their community development grant, and we request reimbursement at that time for this project. So it's going to be a lot of in and outs all at one time once ODOT awards the project. So I would recommend adoption of the motion.
I motion we adopt the motion to amend the capital project for Colerain Avenue sidewalks, John Rose to Shady Crest to $2,100,000.
I'll second. Discussion.
Everything's very detailed
It's yes,
here on the agenda. There's several pages of what all this is.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And the final item of new business is a motion to approve a change order with KZF Design, and that is for the aforementioned Colerain Avenue Streetscape project. There are two parts to this request from KZF. One is for a number of changes that they have had to make to the project at the request of ODOT. The other is for any potential changes that they may be required to make once we get in the field as part of this contract and construction management. The total request from KZF is a $70,989 change order. We have, just for perspective, been in this agreement, I believe, since either 2019 or 2020 after the project was initially awarded.
I'll motion to approve a change order KZF Design Services for Colerain Avenue Streetscape Project for $70,989.
I'll second. Discussion.
Yeah, I've got one really important question. So it's a service order amendment that we're looking at. You familiar with that document, sir?
Are you talking about the one that's in the
KZF Design, yeah.
agenda packet?
Yeah.
Yes, amendment number 2?
Yep.
Yes.
So where it says, this has kind of got me a little bit sideways. Due to additional plan submissions, as well as delays in receipt of necessary design requirements from utility owners.
Yes.
To get necessary approvals to move the Colerain Avenue sidewalks. Who delayed?
So most of the utilities were not exactly great at responding. We had to work with Verizon, Cincinnati Bell, MSD, Waterworks, Duke Energy. We then had to engage with Cincinnati Bell's, not just their underground, but their overhead. So there were a number of different utility owners, and I've got email trails and traffic where we have continued to make attempts to get them to review and approve plans. One of the difficulties, and this is just from what I've been told about the way that ODOT projects work versus non-ODOT projects, utilities tend to not want to engage in this process where ODOT wants the pre-approval of the plans. Their preference is to not use ODOT, to have it be locally let, in which case then they will just address issues in the field as they pop up, as opposed to reviewing the plans ahead of time.
So, yeah, I don't know how it works for everybody out there and on television and stuff, but if I decide that I don't want to pay my Duke bill, I don't want to pay my Cincinnati Bell bill because I just don't feel like it.
Yep.
There's this thing called a late fee, and I'm wondering why we have to absorb. Do we have an idea how much these delays have cost us?
So in terms of getting the project out the door, I believe we were able to hit all of our deadlines and milestones to get it out the door, but it was not without a lot of work to get the utilities to respond and engage.
Because KZF says,
So the way I was interpreting your question is in terms of will it cost the contract, like the actual road in improvement piece more? That I don't believe it will, because I believe we're still going to hit all of our deadlines for getting the RFP out the door at the state level in order to get the project
So I'm
let.
confused by KZS statement because they say is that additional plan submissions and reviews at the request of ODOT, the project administrator, as well as delays in receipt of necessary design requirements from utility owners to get necessary approvals to move the Colerain Avenue sidewalks.
Yes.
Is why they're asking for
Yes.
additional funds.
So there's this piece of the process during the design work called the utility note. And as they're going through that utility note, that is something that ODOT issues as associated with the project. And it requires sign off by all these various different utilities. As we've worked toward utility notes, we've worked with the understanding of these are the items that need to be addressed, not addressed, based off of what information we had from the utilities. So we'd be working on a path toward getting that utility note approved. And then it would turn out that, let's say Cincinnati Bell, for example, had not actually reviewed the plans in full. And then they came back and said, wait a second, we don't like where you have this pole placed. We don't like where you have this tree placed. We need you to revise your plans. And
So my
we had a lot of those iterative processes where we go down the path, we have plans that we believe are acceptable by all parties, and then all of a sudden in the 11th hour, they come back and say, no, we don't agree with your plans, you need to revise them, and ODOT would not sign off until the utility signed off.
So am I misunderstanding it then when it's some of the additional funds are because, I understood it to be because they were just late getting stuff in?
Well, I mean, the utilities were very late at getting back to us, and that's what then caused those revised plans on a moment's notice in what I would consider the 11th hour.
So would it be inappropriate for us to come up with a list? I have no issue contacting the government affairs departments of these various companies and saying, look, you have a responsibility here as well. Is that something that you would be?
I would say that we had issues from just about every utility outside of MSD.
Okay, so why don't we talk separately about that? I don't like the fact that we have to fight and claw to get this out of them, and they'll turn mine off at the second's notice if it's not paid.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it's just not, it's not reasonable. They have entire departments for that. And I'm kind of salty about Duke anyway, because my power went out 5 times the last 30 days whenever there was a big wind. I think that this is something that we can have reasonable expectation.
Sure.
No other comments from me?
No comments.
Sorry.
Duke, please keep mine turned on.
I got a backup generator.
Matt's the guy down there on the end. He's the guy in
I think you should
Vernier.
just go buy a generator.
No other comments?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. I do not see any old business on the agenda, and the next items are consent, if you would like for me to read that.
Sure.
So going through the list here, we have a contract on the consent agenda for Coro for an EDI feed at a cost of $675, a contract with Buckeye Power for generator maintenance at a cost of $4,925, a contract with Vistra. This is for electric aggregation, and bear with me one moment. This was at a rate of 6.89 cents per kilowatt hour for a period of 2 years. As a reminder, you all had authorized me to enter into a contract up to 7.5 cents, so this was a decent amount lower. And then there is a contract which is a grant award from the YWCA. The YWCA would reimburse us up to $28,569.46. After that, we've got several personnel items. So there was a promotion in the Department of Fire and EMS of a training captain. That would be Lieutenant Matt Vagan at a rate of $44.86 per hour. A promotion to full-time firefighter in the fire department. That is Samuel Greenlee at a rate of $20.86 per hour. A new hire of a part-time firefighter EMT, and that would be Joshua Ritzenhalter at a rate of $16.99 per hour. A new hire in the police department of a police officer, that'd be Jessica Meyer at a rate of $40.38 per hour. New hires of seasonal maintenance workers in the public services department, that would be Nolan Worley, Matthew Moore, Jaden Chappelle, and Michaela Baldwin, all at a rate of $14 per hour. We have a donation to our fire department from an anonymous person at a rate of $213. We have a donation to our fire department from the Cincinnati Moose Lodge number 2. That's for $2,329.86.
Thanks.
We have a donation to our Public Services Department from Heister Insurance Agency at a rate of $500 to sponsor one of our events. And then finally, we have a donation to our Public Services Department. This was from Darcy R. Bradley, DMD, at a rate of $1,500 to sponsor our movies in the park. I would recommend adoption of all consent items.
A motion that we adopt the consent items A through M.
I'll second that.
Thank you for every the donations.
Thank you so much. It's very much appreciated.
No other comments.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Do you have a fiscal officer report for us?
Two quick things. The January financials are very close to being done, and they'll be posted shortly. December has been posted. And an update on where we are with public records request. We are at 80. We have 9 still to fill. So getting a lot done. That's all I have.
Thank you. Are we in need of an executive session?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn this movie.
So I motion that we would adjourn the meeting at 10:36.
I'll second, since you're busy over there.
Baker?
Yeah, I get you.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned, 10:36.